Okay, welcome to the second session of our monthly Shards of Light and Shadow game. We have 3 of our players with us at the moment. Hopefully Alex will be joining us shortly. He's running a little bit late. In the first session, our brave bunch of misfits investigated rumours of dark orcs from the Empire to the north of the town of Liberty, one of the strongest bastions of the Free Peoples. As they travelled north, they encountered a group of bandits who seemed to be working with these orcs. They discovered that these bandits were working with them in order to procure supplies of dust, a hideously and lethally addictive drug made out of black lotus petals and ground up shards of dark crystal. After various misadventures, they discovered that a secret entrance to a nearby well led down to the bandits' hideout. They captured 2 of them, defeating a number of their orc liaisons, and basically piled debris and rubble into the well and on top of it in order to seal any remaining bandits in their hideout, at which point they decided to return to the town of Liberty in order to acquire reinforcements, perhaps from the protectors of Liberty, the city watch, if you will, remnants of various knightly orders, including the Order of Dawn. Their members also include a slightly elderly knight by the name of Camelac, who was the person who originally employed them to go on their business investigating the orcs. So I'm going to, before we carry on with our heroes heading back towards Liberty, I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves. Feel free to plug any YouTube channels you've got if you want, and also say a bit about your characters. So first we're going to go with Clay.
Hello, I am Clay. My YouTube channel is the Wolfden808. I am playing Valor, the halfling, or I think we call him something else in this realm. He is a roguish type who is serving his beloved master, or at first pretending to, but now has taken a liking to his master. A paladin. I'll let him introduce himself, and he is just trailing along, trying to be the voice of reason when his glory-seeking is at its highest. And I'm playing Valor.
Splendid, thank you very much. And next we move on to Dave.
Hello, I'm Afro Dave. I am playing Jakku, the half-orc barbarian. After accidentally destroying my own village and betraying my brother, I've now joined this party to try and find some redemption and basically help the nearby villages.
Okay, thank you very much. And last but by no means least for the moment, we move on to Steve.
I'm not least at the moment. Yay. So I'm Steve. I have the YouTube channel 3D6. There's a couple of campaigns up on there. I'm playing the gnomish old man paladin, Oren Rundar. Kind of Don Quixote-esque. He knows he's at the end of his time and kind of wants to go out a hero rather than some doddering old man reading books. And so he has taken up some janky armor and a janky sword and is out there to hero it up.
Okay, splendid. Thank you very much. And we also have Alex Mitchell playing Sallow, the drow. He, like I said, he's running a little bit late, but hopefully he'll be joining us as we push on. So, without further ado, you guys have these 2 bandits with you. The one who's identified himself as Osgood is awake, although he seems to be getting progressively more jittery and sort of nervy as the time is going on, perhaps due to his reliance on the drug dust, perhaps due to the shock of all the events that have occurred. You don't know. You also have a second bandit who is unconscious, who I assume you're carrying, putting on a horse, etc. Now, you guys are said you were heading back towards the town of Liberty. It's a short distance to the south of where the Bandits' hideout was located. You find yourself moving through woodland and eventually across more sort of open farmland and scrubland. As you are travelling, is there anything you particularly wish to discuss with each other or the bandits you have with you?
Not particularly myself. I'll be eyeing up the jittering one, ready to stop him being jittery at any point with my axe. But I'll be taking a lead from our paladin leader at the moment, who apparently wants him alive for some unbeknownst reason.
Right. I don't have anything in particular, but like the entire ride back, I'm lecturing the conscious and jittery one and the unconscious one on the merits of a better life and where they've gone wrong, and you know, just sort of that old man, oh, you could have done better sort of speech the entire time.
Okay, no problems. You are talking to Osgood on the way back. Like you say, you're attempting to school him in how he could have perhaps done things better with his life and sort of pointing out the shortfalls in the route that he has taken. He appears to listen to you despite his jitteriness, and at one point, sort of probably in the second day's travel, you've started out in the morning, you'll be reaching the town of Liberty mid-afternoon, and Osgood says, well yeah, I can see what you're saying, but it's not like it's really my fault. You don't know what it's like. I mean, I was forced into working for the Silver Fangs when I was young. My family owed them money. But what else could I do? It was that, or they were going to take it out in kind out of my family, and I couldn't allow that. I mean, I was only 8 years old when I first started working for them, and then, well, and he's like scratching himself while he's talking to you into twitching nerves. He says, well, once you've tried your first lot of dust, well, it's difficult to let go of it. And you can see him, as he's talking, he's like glancing nervously around himself.
It is a shame what happens to people. I can't fault you for standing near your family. I can't fault you for standing up for what you believe in. But that dust...
What else could I do? I mean, my mother was old and frail. My father was ill. I had no brothers and sisters. So what could I do? I was only 8, and well, there were a lot of them, and they obviously meant business. So what choice did I have?
Well, I'm not saying that you had a choice then, but you had a choice later. Look at yourself. How good are you to your family now?
I know what you're saying is true, but at least they got to live, and well, I hope they did. I've not seen them since that day or all those years ago. After all, I can't let them see me like this.
Don't worry, lad. We'll get you straight, even if it kills you.
That doesn't seem to comfort him a great deal.
Okay, you continue walking towards the town of Liberty. It's mid-afternoon when you arrive on the northernmost outskirts of the town. I'm hoping you can all see the map now.
Yep, can see that.
Okay, so as you're heading into the northern part of the town of Liberty, you can see the once proud but now ruined remnants of the northern wall that was destroyed when the Dark Orcs and their kin were forced out of the town. Fortifications that there is little money and precious little knowledge to rebuild. You suspect that this may be why most of the town of Liberty clusters around the southern edge of the river that flows through it. as you're approaching the edge of the few buildings which are on the northern side of the river, you can see the single of the two remaining bridges, now known as the Mourning Brother Bridge, that stretches across the river. A few buildings from a time before the Orcs occupied this, when it's rumoured that an elven settlement was once here, rise far above the crude and often ramshackle buildings that have been built since out of whatever debris and materials that the people of Liberty could scavenge. The tallest of the buildings in the settlement is the Protector's Tower, a remnant of the elven occupation of this area, a tall, thin, white stone spire that rises above the rest of the city with a gleaming blue slate roof. As you're heading into the town, you can hear the sounds of people going about their business, wooden carts moving through the streets, people generally talking and chattering. Over to you guys.
So I need to take this guy to the guards.
Is that a question for me or for your fellow PCs?
Oh, for the fellow PCs. Let me know where the
Okay, no
guardhouse is.
Well, we should take him to something or someone. We'll need to have him questioned and then gain some assistance and head back to the camp. There are more of them to be had out there.
Let's find that militiaman that sent us on this mission. You don't know what to do with him.
Okay, how do you intend to locate Camelac, the old protector who sent you on the mission in the first place? Obviously there's a lot of buildings, there's a fair few streets in the town of Liberty. It's quite large as far as towns go. How do you intend to locate him?
That's the one where the guardhouse is, since a random passerby. Oh, you! Where's the guardhouse?
A man who's pushing a wooden cart full of root vegetables down a cobbled and dirt-packed street looks up at you as you hail him, Loku.
And he says, "Oh, you talking to me, sir?"
Yeah, you. Want to know where the local guardhouse is?
He says, "Oh, well, you've been wanting the Protector's Tower, sir. You can't miss it. It's over there." And he jerks a thumb in the direction of the tall, white, spired tower. "Interest you in any turnips, sir?"
I'm alright for turnips right now, but thank you for the information.
I got beetroots, radishes.
Oh, I could do with a beetroot.
At which point he takes a large beetroot, sort of about the size of your head. It's probably the largest beetroot you've ever seen, out of the back of his cart, and he holds it out towards you and says, "There you are, sir. You won't find finer in the town of Liberty." He says, "Once over to you, squire."
Do we have any money? I'm going in the couch sheet.
He stands there with an expectant look on his face, holding this beetroot out towards you.
Oh, wait, I'll pat myself down. Oh, I'm a bit light at the moment.
"Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. You've got my sympathies, but well, I can't just go give him my wares away. Where would I be if I were doing that? Well, I've got mouths to feed at home, sir." "What about your friends there? Any of you need any turnips, beetroots? Got a few onions hanging on the back of the cart?" And he points to a sort of string of onions hanging off one of the handles of the cart. "All fresh, sir. Picked to myself this morning."
Not for myself, thank you.
Yeah, well, next time I see you, if you've got any money, I'll get a beetroot off you. I do love a beetroot.
He says, "Well, I'll be heading to the market square for market day later on this afternoon, sir." He says, "There'll be plenty of folk about there if you need to get your fill."
Thank you. Good luck with your selling of your beetroots.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. And he goes, lifts his cart back up, his sort of like wheelbarrow effectively, and you hear it as he rumbles off down the street, and you hear him shouting, "Fresh turnip, beetroot, get you ready yet?"
And the merchant walks off down the street, disappearing out of sight around a corner.
Let's head to the protectorates. Maybe we'll get some money for handing this guy and doing some work for him. Getting hungry.
Okay, so are you all heading to the Protector's Tower? Is that the plan?
I think so.
Okay, if you'd all like to move your tokens to near where the line is pointing to the Protector's Tower here. Okay, splendid. Osgood will obviously follow you since you're keeping a close eye on him. As you get near to the Protector's Tower, you can actually see Camelac, the old man who sent you on the mission, and a number of figures wearing chainmail and blue tabards stood outside the Protector's Tower. He sees you approaching, looks in your direction, and says,
"Ah, good, there you are. I was worried you weren't gonna make it back. And tell me, what news?"
Well, we came across an encampment of sort. Some ruins, perhaps an old lumbering mill with a well. Day and a half, 2 days if you aren't as old as I. Wait, no. 2 days, a day and a half if you weren't as old as I. That's what I meant. Anyway.
Well, neither of us are getting any younger, I'm afraid. But a lumber cabin, you say, and who's this fellow? He says, pointing a gauntleted hand at the shivering figure of Osgood.
This is Osgood. I believe at some point he was a citizen here, or at least nearby. Been gone since the age of 8, he says.
Oh, the devil, you say? What's the matter with him? I've never seen a sorrier-looking fellow.
The Dark Orcs, they've sunk their claws into him through some sort of powdered drug.
At which point, Camelac shakes his head sadly and says, "Well, you do a good job to make sure none of the Grey Knights see him. They take an extremely dim view of that, and they're not exactly known for being the most diplomatic of sorts. In fact, there's their leader is in the tower with Lord Harper at the moment, debating what should be done with regards to defence against the Dark Empire. Of course, the Grey Knights will say that, well, now we've beaten them back from liberty, we should marshal up a group of soldiers and we should march north and press on into the rest of the Empire. But, well, anyone with the wits to look around them can see that we don't have sufficient warriors or soldiers to mount a full-scale offensive on the Dark Empire. Most of those serving now are either young and inexperienced, or they're old campaigners like myself. And whilst my spirit is strong, well, as you have said, my friend, the body does weaken somewhat with age, alas.
Well, it wouldn't be right at the moment for him to simply be taken and hanged, or run through with spears, or have his head lopped off.
No, I entirely agree. What would the benefit be in that? But as I've said, the Grey Knights, although they are formidable warriors, and we were glad of their assistance, freeing the town. Do not misunderstand me; they were invaluable. Their methods, for ones who claim to walk between the worlds of light and dark, everything seems to be either black or white for those people. Everything's either good or irredeemably evil. And well, when you reach our age, I'm sure you'll agree that the world just simply isn't like that.
No, but you have to understand it. When you spend all your time in the shadows, you begin to lose the ability to see gray. Everything is a bright light or more shadow. But, what do we do about this camp north? There are more there. We think we secured them in the thing you get water out of.
Well. Oh, well, I see.
Yes, we secured them. That would be a feat. We secured them in a river.
Well, I suppose the best thing for you to do would be to head into the tower and speak directly to Lord Harper. Alas, I don't really have the station necessary to decide what should happen with this matter.
You don't have the station to reimburse us for our deeds, do you, Camelac?
Well, yes, of course. Although I don't really have the status necessary to determine what should be done overall about this, I can certainly reimburse you for your heroism. And I make no bones about using the word. After all, the north of the town is extremely dangerous. Orcs and creatures in the woods and such like. And you see him sort of like patting down his armour and his like chainmail vest underneath it. And then he takes out a small leather pouch and he just sort of like holds it out, not to any one of you specifically, but just holds it out in front of himself. And he says, "There you go. That should do at least as a small retainer." Yeah, you grab it. It's quite heavy, but luckily you're quite muscular.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Also, just to remember, am I still on 1 hit point at the moment? Or the heal on the way back?
I'm going to say that you will have sort of camped on the way back for at least a day, so you will have had a long rest. So everyone will be at full hit points. You'll have regained all your abilities, spells, etc.
That's good. I'm just bloody hungry. That's all right.
Well, shall we up then? Speak to these grey knights.
Aye, let's go and talk to these fellas.
Now, remember, they're heroes, and as such, we must speak heroically about our deeds.
Well, you seem to be quite good at that.
You
can speak for us.
But the likelihood that they're going to believe an old man such as myself. How about you, lad? Would you speak for us?
Yeah, Vala.
What would you have me say?
The truth. Embellished? No, not embellished. Was when you have the books and they have all the filigree and they look fancy. There's a term for that.
Story. Give us a good story of what we did.
Yes, that'll work for now. What is that word?
And where do you wish me to do this?
Embellished. Upstairs, of course. Upstairs. In front of the Grey Knights. We must convince them to travel north and help us rid the camp.
Do you not think we could have taken them ourselves? But I will go, and he starts to walk upstairs.
Yeah, maybe we could have, I suppose. I've been a lot of climbing down inside of a well, and I'm a little old. But upstairs!
I'll report to them what's happened, and then if they don't kill themselves, we'll go back.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Valor, sleep upstairs.
Okay, so we seem to have Alex back with us. Can you hear everything that's going on, Alex?
Yep, am I all good coming through?
Yeah, the swallow.
Okay, So we've just started with you guys returning back to the town. You've met up with Camelac, the old protector who sent you on the mission originally. He's handed over like a large pouch of some kind, which Loku, Dave's half-orc, has sort of like snatched up, and he suggested that you go up into this tall white tower known as the Protector's Tower, an ancient building from when elves once occupied this area, to discuss the matter and what to do in future with Lord Harper, who is the leader of the Protectors. He's like the authority in this place. So, as you guys head into the tower, you can see what appear to be a number of armoured people standing in the sort of topmost chamber of the tower. You've climbed up a series of spiral staircases. The tower from the inside seems almost impossibly fine. The walls seem very thin, but there are signs of elven workmanship as you head up. Despite it being faded somewhat and its glory days having long since passed, there are still remnants of carvings and detailed filigree on the walls and the stairs and all the furnishings you see as you head up to the top of the tower. You enter this large circular chamber and you see these groups of people, where some of them are obviously villagers, commoners, etc. You can see, however, most of them are wearing chainmail or plate mail armour. A number of them have the azure blue surcoats that seem to be the de facto uniform of the Protectors, whereas others are wearing plain grey surcoats. You can see at the far end of the room, seated on what seems to be effectively a throne or an ornate chair of elven manufacture, is a man wearing silver and gold plate mail armour. He has greying hair. If you go to type Dave, don't get to mute yourself.
Sorry.
He has grey hair and a neatly trimmed grey beard. He looks to be somewhat advancing in years, but he still cuts a formidable figure. Standing in front of him is another man clad entirely in plate mail armour, his head covered with a heavy metal helmet that has spikes protruding around the brim of it, almost looking like a sort of strange crown. As you enter, you can see the helmeted figure is very passionately making a point. He looks towards the figure on the throne and says in a loud voice,
"I don't know why you insist on delaying, Lord Harper. It's quite clear that we have the Dark Empire on the run. Now is the time to strike." And he slaps his gauntleted hand into his other hand to emphasise his point. Lord Harper raises a hand and says, "Lord Godfrey, your zeal and your desire to free more people does you credit. However, look around you. There are a mere handful of both of our orders in this chamber, and we could muster, a dozen or so more each at a push. Do you really think that with such a small force we could press on into the heart of the Dark Empire? It seems to me that the reasonable thing to do is to fortify ourselves and concentrate on raising our forces and protecting those that we have sworn to keep safe." At which point Godfrey says, "It's all very well saying that we're going to protect them. However, the Dark Empire simply isn't going to rest. We have already heard word of orcs and other vile creatures making their way into the northern forests. If we sit and rest here, they will also regather their forces, and before we have time to do anything about it, they'll sweep down like they once did so many years ago and wash over this town. Listen, Lord Harper, if you're too old to do what needs to be done, then I suggest you step aside for someone who is prepared to do what is necessary." And as he says this, you see a number of the protectors sort of cautiously move their hands to their swords and spears as though they're expecting trouble. Then as you guys sort of come in, opening the double doors to enter, having heard this through the door, they stop and they sort of like turn round to look at you guys standing in the doorway.
Yes, we've come for the services of the armored ones. Is that you?
All right.
The grey-haired figure on the throne says, I'm sorry, who are you?
I am Valor, a valet to a great and noble warrior, and wishes to...
He looks over all of your party and then he says, and does your master know that you've travelled here on your own?
He is coming. We have caught some dust dealers, a shipment of some orcs and whatnot up in the forest, and he'd like assistance in cleaning out their nest.
As you say this, Godfrith, the armoured figure, shouts up again. He goes, there, you see, you have it. What did I tell you? Orcs venturing further south from the northernmost forest. Before we know, they'll be sweeping like a green tide over the town of Liberty. And you're content just to sit there on your throne and do nothing about it, Lord Harper. Peace, Godfrith, peace. Be still for a moment. Let me establish what these strangers are doing here. Please, small one and your friends, please step forward and approach. And he gestures for you to approach his throne.
Yeah, step forward. It's right though, you've got heart problems.
Yes, alas, says Lord Harper, I fear that is so. And tell me, you speak of dust and figures in the forest. What more can you tell me?
Valor turns the others and turns back to him and says, well, we trapped them in a well in which they were selling this dust and making it. Two of the orcs are dead. We have a prisoner over at the guard shack. You can question him about his involvement in the orcs. But we need your help in clearing out a cave. Or a well. A well that has people trapped inside working with the orcs.
At which point, in an outraged voice, Godrith, the armoured figure, says, my lord, they have an orc amongst their number. This is outrageous.
Half orc. And I look at him scowling.
At which point you hear one of the armoured figures, who's obviously one of the Grey Knights wearing the grey surcoat, from behind Lord Frith say, an orc's an orc.
I'll look at him. So's a human. You want some?
Salo's going to make the effort to try and hide his features as much as he can.
Luckily for you, since you're at the back, you've got your hood up, etc., and they've zeroed in on the orc Loku. They don't really appear to have noticed you. You're just some dude at the back with a hood on. At which point, Godrith says, see, he threatens violence in this sacred space. How can you trust such a creature?
Well, with such insulting words like that, what do you expect? I thought you guys in armour were meant to be more polite than that. I thought it was the orcs that were meant to be more surly and rude to people that have just helped your town.
Godrith sort of pulls himself to his full height and he says, it was not kind words or diplomacy that freed Liberty from the grasp of the Dark Empire. It was the blood of my men and my kinsmen who freed this town. And we did it with steel and with vengeance and hatred in our hearts, not with kind words and platitudes.
Yes.
I'll let you speak.
Oh, that is all good, and we are all very thankful for that. Not a day goes by that we don't lift our cups to you and celebrate your fallen heroes. Now, where in this esteemed meeting room do we still have room for ignorance and hatred? It's a big world out there. That's why it worked so well. In here, in these walls, perhaps not so much.
Okay, at this point, Orin, can you please make me a persuasion roll?
I can try, but I'm not very good at it.
I don't know. That was a.
I just
Sweet
click a button. Damn it! Clicky. No, not clicking. All right.
Have to do this the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, that's fine. A 5, because this system hates me. If you recall, I don't think I rolled over a 7 last time.
Okay, your words don't seem to have persuaded the Grey Knights. However, Lord Harper again holds up both of his hands, and his voice takes on a slightly sterner tone.
Enough. As you have said, Lord Godfrey, there is ever-present danger. We do not have the resources nor the luxury of fighting amongst ourselves. Would you have us be fighting over the scraps and the rubble, even while the boot of the enemy is on our necks? This seems to set Lord Godfrey back a little, and he sort of growls under his breath, but doesn't make any further attempts to antagonize you.
I'll take a step forward at this point and say, long and short of it is, you've got something that needs doing. Don't have the men to do it. We're mercenaries. We've already proven we're capable against the orcs. Hire us, we'll clear them out.
What?
And what do you propose? Says Lord Harper. What is your fee then, mercenary? That's something that can be negotiated when we don't have a danger around us. Right now we have a well full of drug dealers. We need to clear them out. And what is it you need from the Protectors of Liberty to enable you to do this?
Some supplies might be useful. When it got the items on her back.
Yes, what is it that we need? Because this conversation took a turn I wasn't expecting.
We have the skills, but not necessarily the equipment.
Well, the equipment we had seemed to serve us fine when we were out there.
What if we could come across anything worse?
What equipment is it that you require? Says Lord Harper. Our resources are not inexhaustible, but in light of the service that you are providing to us, I'm sure some arrangements can be made. What is it you need?
Well, probably some items to heal ourselves after the next encounter with the orcs. They do pull some mighty blows themselves.
You could do with some of the basics, some tents, some healing supplies, even something as small as that can help us get on the way, and something to carry them on.
Well, I can certainly provide you with a beast of burden, perhaps a small cart and whatever tents, bedrolls, etc. that you may require. Alas, our alchemical supplies are in short supply. We do not have a great deal of them to spare.
Understandable. We also do need the benefit of manpower. We know of one place where these people are hiding, but it's almost certain that the underground compound they have has more than that one exit. Ideally, we need the woods properly searching through. We can head in and to the complex itself and deal with whatever lies in there, but we need to make sure that us going down in there and rooting them out doesn't just cause them to scatter into the darkness.
Well, as I've said, we do not have a great number of warriors to spare, but I believe I can spare 4 of my protectors to accompany you, if that will be of any help.
I would most likely do nicely. People who can watch over our back and act as reinforcements if and when we need them. If things get, if their numbers are much greater than our initial estimates, we can make it. We can make a start with that. Once we've made more of a headway, we can then start discussing more detailed terms.
Very well, he says, and he gestures to 4 of the warriors who are wearing the blue surcoats, and he says, "Men, accompany these 4 mercenaries to the den of these thugs, these drug peddlers, and attempt to assist them in bringing them to justice." At which point the 4 armoured figures nod and say, Yes, Lord Harper. Yes, Lord Harper. Of course, Lord Harper." Is there anything else?
All I'll need, unless anyone else didn't think of anything.
No, I think that'll do for now.
Good. Then we'll make our start. We'll consider the supplies that you're offering, the cart and such, as an initial payment. We can work from there, and then, as I said, discuss more detailed terms once we've made some headway.
Very good, says Lord Harper. I look forward to hearing of your successful venture upon your return. How far away did you say this camp was?
A day and a half, almost 2. There are some ruins to the north, a small village, a logging camp, perhaps.
Yes, says Lord Harper. I know that many of the old villages were burnt when the Empire pulled out of this area when they were forced to leave. They burnt as much as they could on their way out, no doubt hoping to make it difficult for us to settle again in this area. But we have persevered and we have prevailed despite their best efforts. But the nearness of this is indeed troubling.
Lord Harper, not to speak out of turn, but a simple old man. A heroic old man, but we were able to speak to a human counterpart to these orcs. And it seems that this trade route, this distribution of this dust has been set for a while. Liberty is a fair town. I'm fond of it myself, but the amount of product that they're talking about would overwhelm this town. Is it possible that there is some plan to use it as a staging ground? Is that something that you and your social contacts could look into? It seems an awful lot of dust for a small town. Something bigger might be afoot. I know that thanks to the hardiness and stalwartness of the Grey Knights, that we needn't worry about a physical incursion anytime soon. But if this drug is as tenacious as they say, it might be another attempt to gain a foothold of sorts.
Lord Godfrey speaks out and says, "The old man speaks the truth, Lord Harper. We've been saying for months now that we need to take a stronger stand against the criminals and the underworld in Liberty, and yet at every turn you have refused to allow us to act against them. We need to make an example of those who would follow these dark ways, so that those who might consider it will be scared into staying on the straight and narrow."
And would your example involve hanging them, hurting them, punishing them? Or would you look to the future and offer them some sort of redemption, rehabilitation? These are your citizens you're talking about. the people that you breathed and lived and died and bled for? Would you do the work of the orcs for them?
Godfrey turns his armoured face to look at you, and he says, "What I'm talking about is the execution of a mere handful of those, of the most irredeemable of those involved in this foul trade. If that will save the lives of many others, surely it is a worthy sacrifice. It is far better than allowing many, many more to be infected with this vile substance."
No, I understand. And with people and willingness in such short supply, I'm reminded of a story of a man traveling the desert. 2 days in, climbing a very steep hill, he realizes that he's very weighed down. That carrying this weight, he'll never make it across this desert. And so he looks to his pack, and the heaviest item that you carry at any point, other than a blackened soul, is water. And so he made a decision. He cut off 5 pounds of his water, nearly a gallon. Something that's in short supply, but it was weighing him down, causing him difficulties. That man made it another day, maybe 2, before he realized the error of what he had done. Citizens, those loyal, those willing to fight for a cause, are in short supply, as Lord Harper here said. Yet you would string them up and gut them, in hopes that you would scare the others straight. Work them. Not employ them. Work them. Use them, like the sharpened edge of a sword. Would you drive a nail with your blunt of your blade? No, you'd find a hammer.
You make an interesting point, old man. Lord Harper, myself and the rest of my knights will take our leave now to consider what has been said here. But I warn you, should you be unwilling to protect this town of Liberty, there are those of us who will. And as he says that, himself and his men march out of the chamber, leaving you alone with Lord Harper.
There's a very thin line between protection and bullying.
Yes, I fear you're right, says Lord Harper. The Grey Knights, for all their valour in combat, they are damaged men driven by loss and by their hatred of the Empire, and sometimes their anger and their sense of loss overwhelms their better judgment. But what Lord Godfrey said is true. We certainly couldn't have liberated this town were it not for their help. And I fear, without an exterior enemy to vent their fury on, that soon their anger, their aggression, their darkness will turn inwards.
Yes, any creature bred in combat without combat is just a creature.
Indeed.
Right, best find them an enemy quick then.
So as this conversation is going on, what is Valor up to?
Valor's scoping out the area just in case he has to come back and rob these fools. He's if his master looks like he wants him to say something, do something, he'll have his head bowed down that he's in contemplation of the goodness and the error of these guys' ways and listening to the words, but he's basically just scoping out where a strong box would be. Being as they were insulting to his friends and small people, they ignored him like most do his size because he's not a speaker. So he's just looking around. If he gets caught, he smiles sheepishly and acts like a small animal.
Okay, as you're looking around, you can see there appears to be
little evidence of a strong box or anything of that ilk in this room. This room appears to be used mainly for sort of ceremonial purposes. You expect this might be where sort of court is held effectively. However, you did pass a number of other doors on your way up to the top of the chamber as you went up the spiral staircase. So perhaps there's something of interest in other chambers, maybe worth an investigation later on. You don't know.
he takes note of that and continues to play chauffeur, servant to his master.
Okay, so how about yourself, Salo, as this conversation's going on? Valor sort of scoping the place out. Loku and Oren are discussing with the various knightly orders what action they're going to take. What are you making of all this, Salo? What are you doing?
Not the biggest fan of being in a room of heavily armoured people, nor in crowds. I think at this point, Salo will probably make his excuses and say he needs to get ready. Start to make his way back out towards kind of open sky, he'll ask where the beasts of burden, the supplies that would be starting to get gathered for them, where they'd be, so that he can start making preparations there.
Lord Harper looks towards you and says,
Take these 4 of my men with you and head to the market square to the west of here. There are numerous traders there. My men will explain that any of your costs will be met by my own treasury. You should have little difficulty.
No.
Well, if you have nothing further you require of me, gentlemen, I will leave you to take these 4 of my protectors with you, and I look forward to hearing of your future success. And he reclines backwards a little bit on his throne.
Cool. Before I leave, give him a kind of like a salute, Lord Harper, and then walk off.
No doubt you will.
Okay, no problems. Just give me a moment to set up the other map, and then we will continue.
I'll say to the rest of the guys as we'll leave. I'd quite like that Godfrey if he wasn't much of a prick.
Man values actually like and respect for that.
He's just single-minded and tenacious. He's wounded and worried about a repeat of what has already happened.
Yeah, well, if he's looking towards me, he's looking in the wrong direction. I'm not getting killed.
No. You have to understand that war is a lens that you will see everything through for the rest of your life. And oftentimes it blinds men to certain things. And at the moment, he's blinded to who you really are and physically blinded to your human half. But just think about this. You're only half human. That makes you half stupid. They're all human, so...
Oh. That's true.
you have this conversation while you're heading out of the tower, followed by 4 of the protectors who have been assigned to you. As you're heading out, you're led by the protectors towards an open area, so around about here, near the tower. You can see there's a number of ramshackle market stalls, traders' stalls that have been set up, sort of awnings with barrels, crates, etc. in front of them. There are a number of local people wearing rough-hewn cloth clothing, leathers, etc., trading in various commodities. Most of them seem to be farmers from the surrounding farmland just outside the walls of Liberty, trading in livestock, vegetables, grains, etc. There are a couple of smiths there trading in horseshoes, weapons, small items of armour, nothing too grand, but there is pretty much most basic equipment that you could want to acquire is available in this marketplace. The 4 protectors lead you there, and as you're walking along, you hear Osgood, who's sort of walking next to you, Oren, says,
"Well, since you're heading back there, I'm sure you've got these you've got these big knights with you. I'm sure you probably don't need me to come with you to the back to the hideout. After all, I'm sure I'd just be getting in the way.
Ah, that's a good point, Osgood. Should we give him to Camelac? Throw him in the cell.
Camelac, who stood outside, says, "Well, I could certainly take him into custody if that would be of help to you all in your endeavours."
And probably help him.
Well,
I don't think he'll be of very much use to us.
Not used to anyone, is he? Not even to himself.
well, if you wish to leave him here, I understand. The only thing I would say, Osgood, is that here in a cell, you're only as protected as the bars. And there is a small contingent of knights here who would like to see your head on a pike.
He goes quite pale as you say that and starts trembling even more violently. Now, calm down, lad, says Camelac, in what you assume he means to be a comforting voice. I'll be keeping an eye on you, don't worry. No one will get their hands on you unless Lord Harper says so. Well then, if there's nothing you need me for, gentlemen, I'll take this ragged young fellow into custody, and I'll leave you to your work. Is there anything else you require of me before I take my leave?
If you can find the time, Camelac, put him to work. A good sweat might work it out of his system.
Well, we do of course have building works going on, shoring up the defences. He looks a frail-looking cove. I'm not sure if he'd quite have the stomach or the muscular fortitude for that sort of work.
Yeah.
But we shall see. I'm sure I can find him something to do. At which point, Camelac takes Osgood and he takes his leave, leaving you guys in the marketplace with the 4 protectors.
Well, I suppose we need to see about some supplies, whatever they might be.
Okay, what supplies are you looking for?
Beetroots.
Beetroots.
You've got me thinking. I'm on track mine now.
Okay, you search around for
that guy.
10, 15 minutes, and eventually you do spot the same sort of slightly wrinkled man with his cart piled high with various fresh produce. He sees you approaching and he says,
"Oh, change your mind, have you, sir?"
Aye, yeah, I want some of those fresh beetroots you got there.
He says, "Wow, you're lucky, sir. I've only got the one left. Oh, flying out of my cart they are." And he rummages around under this heap of other vegetables and takes out a slightly smaller beetroot than the one you saw previously, but still like the size of like a large orc's fist. And he sort of, the leaves have started to wilt a little on top. He's like, "Don't pay no attention to that, sir. It's a heat, you see, but well, it's still good." And he sort of squeezes it a little to demonstrate that it's ripe. You see purple juice run down his hand and he holds it out towards you. He's like, "Well, like I said, that'll be a silver to you, sir."
The bill for this one. You got any food that'll keep?
He says, "Well," he says, "I've not myself, but there's a gent over there who's selling dried meats. He might be able to help you out, Squire."
Perfect.
Anyway, like I say, that's a silver to you, sir, if you want this lovely fresh beetroot.
Yeah, I'll get the beetroot off him. I'll dip into that bag that we've got. Actually, I'll turn to the protectorates and go. Apparently, you're sorting us out.
One of the protectors sighs. He walks forward. He takes a scroll out of his belt, holds it up to the produce salesman, and says, all of the expenses of these 4 individuals for the moment will be met out of the treasury of Lord Harper. I'm sure you recognise his seal on this official writ. At which point the veg salesman scratches the back of his neck and he says, "Oh, Lord Harper's seal, is it?" He says, "Oh, well, yes, that'll do nicely." And he sort of passes you over the beetroot.
Awesome, and I'll happily start munching on that as I walk around with the rest of them, getting supplies.
Okay, so
Take you for a beetroot, man.
As the rest of you are walking around getting surprised, Locke is like crunching this beetroot behind you. There's like purple juice running down his chin and staining his clothing until, like, by the time he's finished eating, like, both of his hands are red. The front of his face is like purple. He's got spots of it all over the front of him and his furs, etc.
Not satisfied.
Fantastic. You look like an orc that's killed someone and eaten them.
Well, if there's any beetroot monsters around, point them my way.
So what are you guys doing now?
So the supplies that I'm looking to gather up are so we need to get a cart and a beast of burden. So probably like more likely to be something like a workhorse rather than anything else.
Okay, just to speed this along a bit, you acquire a workhorse and a cart of some of the traders. A similar thing unfolds where one of the protectors shows the seal of Lord Harper and tells the traders that they are meeting your expenses. Don't forget to mute yourself for your typing, Dave.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can hear your keyboard clattering.
Oh, sorry, I thought I muted my headphones. I'll mute
No worries, I do it all the time, don't worry about it. Okay, so you have a horse and a beast of burden. To speed it along a bit, if there's any other sort of basic equipment that you want within reason, you will be able to acquire it here. If it's a bit more sort of odd, or it's some sort of like unusual weapon or like heavy armour or anything like that, run it past me first. But if there's any basic equipment you want, just shout out and you will most likely be able to acquire it.
So the things I'm specifically looking for are enough tents and bedrolls for all of us, a week's worth of rations, and lanterns and oil. As soon as with those, I think that's pretty much everything I can think of.
So in terms of tents, are you looking for like one big tent that will fit all of you, or are you looking for a smaller tent each?
But let's not buddy up. let's not get too comfortable.
Right. I personally would like to acquire a human-sized one-man tent.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
human-sized
tents one each.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone has a tent and a bedroll.
To be fair, as someone who's kind of like, someone who lives like in the forest or stuff like that, as a tribal person, I'd be more used to just kind of sleeping out in the stars with a bedroll, so I won't take a tent.
Okay, that's fine. It's there. Anyone who wishes can have a tent. Anyone who wishes can have a bedroll.
Right. I'm assuming rope's easy to come by.
Yeah.
Tinderbox. Yeah. And how about a nice wheel of hard cheese?
Yeah, you can certainly get hold of that. Like I say, there's a large farming community to the south. Some of which are dairy farmers, so a wheel of cheese isn't a problem, especially since Lord Harper's footing the bill. Okay,
yeah.
Valor, is there any particular equipment that you are looking for?
No, Valor has what he needs.
You can certainly have a tent and a bedroll that will be provided for you.
He'll take those, but no, he has what he needs. He can find some seasonings and whatnot, something to mess with the nose. He'll pick something like that up. But other than that, he has what he needs.
Okay, splendid. Okay, so it takes you a couple of hours all told, so it's sort of like early evening by the time you guys finish gathering all of your equipment. It's just started to get to dusk, the light's starting to fail a little. One of the protectors who's with you says, if we're planning on heading out today, we should probably we should probably make a good start and make camp, or do you wish to remain the evening in Liberty and strike out in the morning?
Well, we can make a bit of a way out, can't we? And basically get up early in the morning as we camp out there. No point camping here and then setting off in the morning.
Makes sense.
Very good, says the Protector. And before we go any further, my name is Johan. These are my brothers at arms, Simon, Robert, and William. And he indicates the other 3 Protectors.
Johann, Simon, Robert, and William.
That's correct.
We are very glad to have you joining us.
Indeed, well, it's our responsibility as Protectors to keep the town of Liberty safe and to enforce the will of our Lord Harper. I'm hoping that by aiding you in this matter, we will finally put a dent in this evil trade in dust that is threatening our town.
That will do, and perhaps you'll get the Grey Knights off of your back for a bit. They'll see some action on your behalf.
The Protector has been identified as William. Says, yes, well, it'd be nice if we could get them off their backs somewhere. I fear that unless something's done soon, a conflict between the Protectors and the Grey Knights is inevitable. Friction and tension has been building for a long, long time.
Yes, but friction and tension are both very good tools. Without them, you wouldn't have a campfire nor block and tackle.
Yes, there is some truth in what you say, says William. I merely hope that this internal dissent doesn't threaten the very thing that we all swore to protect.
Yes. Wouldn't be the first time, now would it?
Yeah, it'd be a terrible thing to end this rebellion against the Black Oaks with our own infighting. Never had this stuff in the never had this problem in the half side.
You're absolutely right, my friend, says William. And please, I know that we weren't the one to proffer you a fence, my friend, he says, looking at you, Locke. But please accept my apologies for the hasty words of the Grey Knights. They tend to see everything in absolutes, whether it be one's heritage, one's habits. They don't appreciate the fact that a person is more than the sum of their blood and their heritage. Whereas we believe in the Protectors that a man should be judged on his actions rather than his background. After all, many of us were raised up from the lowest of peoples in order to help protect this area, and we were given the status of Protectors by Lord Harper in recognition of that. If it were down to people like the Grey Knights, then a peasant would always be a peasant and an orc would always be an orc.
Oh, I appreciate your apology, but you don't have to apologise personally. I don't know if it's a human trait, but it sounds like not. But I try not to generalise myself, or like you say, I take things on people's merits personally than their race. I don't look through that spectrum.
You are very kind, my friend, and nevertheless I fear that as they are a brother order to us, the apology is still there, since I feel that their behaviour reflects on the actions of all of us.
Well, thank you, Johan. That's much appreciated, and there is no ill will between us, and I'll kind of shake his hand in a...
He looks a little embarrassed as he shakes his hand, and he says, I'm William, sir.
William. Do apologise, William.
Oh, not at all, sir. Not at all. But as I was saying, I'm sorry, what was that, my small friend?
While all this humanly love is going around and backslapping and stuff, Valor's going to sneak into the wagon and hunker down. So if they're looking for him, they won't find him. He'll only come out if his master starts to yell.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, the Johan, seemingly the spokesperson for these group protectors, says, so am I correct that you wish to spend the evening in Liberty, or do you wish to strike out?
Strike out.
Let's head out. I'm better in the dark anyway.
Very well then. Lead on, says Johan. After all, you know the way better than we.
Yeah. I think because is it just Salo and I who can see in the dark, or can Orin as well?
I can.
You can as well. Well, me and Salo will be moving forward after last time. Orin was less than stealthy, so we'll try and subtly keep him in the group as we kind of scout ahead.
We'll range ahead. Orin, we need you to make sure that the cart is well protected. After all, it is the source of all of our supplies. And if it came to harm, we would be in grave peril.
No, that's fine.
That's why I like Salo. He can say the words that I'm thinking.
My Elvish coming through.
That's it. That's why I like it.
Okay,
Good with a blade, good with a tongue.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a wilderness map. I'll just move you all over to it. Okay, so you should be able to see yourselves and the 4 protectors who are accompanying you. So what I'm going to ask you to do is basically to put yourselves in like your marching order. So the person who is on the northern edge, where I'm highlighting now, will be sort of like first in line. So if you all want to, as you sort of head out, with darkness just starting to fall, if you want to all discuss where you're going to be in the marching order, then place yourself accordingly. The protectors will look to you for instructions, so you guys can pretty much decide, tell me where you want them to go, and I'll put them in the appropriate positions.
Well, as the like clanky soldiers, we'll probably have them a little bit like with the car, I'm guessing. Maybe some of them in front of it.
Yeah, the formation I'm thinking of is we range out a little whiles ahead, and then we have everyone else around the cart.
Okay, so I've just drawn a simple rectangle on there to show you sort of the approximate size of the cart.
Get in the cart, Valor.
So we have so Vala's in the cart. We'll both range a decent distance ahead.
Yeah.
And then we'll ask the protectors basically to form a perimeter around the cart itself.
Okay, so something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so of the 2 of you who are ranging up ahead, obviously you've got Loku and Salo up ahead, since you guys can see quite clearly in the dark. Now, Orin, I'm assuming that you're not exactly the speediest person in the world.
I am not. Well, I can move at 30 as long as I'm not armored all the way up, and I'm not at the moment, so.
Okay, so you're following a little behind the cart, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it within, a quick scoot, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay, not a problem. So, Orin, I'm going to ask, can you please roll me a d6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's great. Salo and Loku, can you both make me notice rolls?
Yes. Is notice a skill? Or do I roll for notice?
It's perception.
Perception.
cut out for a second. Sorry, John, what did you say?
Can you make me a perception roll?
Oh,
Okay,
that's a really, I rolled a really good one.
That's absolutely fine. You guys travel through the evening and into the next day. You've got about another half a day's travel before you reach the site of the bandit encampment. You've not encountered anything untowards on your way there. Are you planning to rest at any point? Obviously, like I say, you've travelled through the night. You're now sort of getting on to sort of mid-afternoon on the next day. You know, if you keep going at this pace, you probably will be quite tired, but if you keep going at this pace without resting, you'll get to the bandits' hideout sort of midday the next day.
Shall we rest for like a couple of hours when I get lunch kind of thing and rest up a little bit? What do you reckon, guys?
Seems reasonable enough. I don't need as much sleep as you do.
Yeah, I need a little bit or I get cranky, but not a lot.
Okay, so you guys set up camp presumably around the cart.
Yeah.
So if you all want to sort of like move yourselves into where you'd be sort of sleeping or resting around the cart, the protectors sort of move in and hunker down by the side of the cart.
Under the tree here.
Okay, so Loco and Salo, are you actually like sleeping in the trees or are you just like underneath the trees?
I'd probably climb the tree actually.
I'll be sleeping like underneath one, you know what I mean, just kind of a bit of shade. Obviously it's mid, you know what I mean, it's getting light now, so...
Okay, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so since you're all resting, you're all getting some sleep, etc., are any of you going to be staying up on watch, or are you all just getting some shut-eye?
Valor will stay up since he didn't do anything and he was well rested in the cart.
Took a snooze.
He'll stay up for a while.
I'm only going to be out for 4 hours, so I'll probably rest and then take watch for the rest of it.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. So, can anyone who is sort of like remaining awake, so that's Valor and probably Salo, can the two of you make me perception rolls, please?
That's a bit better.
And Valor. Okay, lovely. As everyone else is sleeping, the two of you are awake, Valor and Salo. Are you still staying in the back of the cart, Valor, or are you going to be moving around on watch? Or...
Yeah, he'll move around on watch. He'll move stealthily around. So. This is with a +2 for my expertise, but he'll move around stealthily. So, 14.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. You are stealthing to the max. Okay, as giving your guys perception rolls, as you're moving around, Salo, you notice what appears to be a rustling in the undergrowth below the tree that you're in, and as you look downwards, you can see what appears to be a small, gnarled, orcoid creature, a small sort of goblin creature, creeping through the trees, obviously trying its best to be as quiet as possible. However, it doesn't appear to have spotted you up in the tree, doesn't appear to have realised you're there. You can see it's holding what appears to be a small scimitar in its hands. It's very slowly creeping through the trees. As you watch, you see it sort of wave its hand and give a signal, and you see what appears to be a brief flicker of light from this tree here, like a signal. You also see, although you haven't seen the goblin under the tree, Valor, you have seen the light from over here.
I'll look over and see if I'll look over to the cart first and see if Valor is A, up, and B, in a position to be able to see me.
Okay, Valor, would Salo be able to see you? Or are you secreted in the cart? Because you did make the stealth roll, so...
I'm secreted in the cart.
Okay, so you think Valor's possibly still in the cart, but you can't tell. You've not really seen him at all, Salo.
Okay. In that case, what I'll do is, as quietly as possible, draw my sword, and then drop down onto the goblin in an attempt to catch him by surprise.
Okay, in which case he will most definitely be taken by surprise. So you will get to act sort of first, like we've not gone into initiative yet, but you'll effectively get a surprise action. So I'll move you down to where the goblin is, and you can feel free to make your attack. His AC is 15. Okay, you'll hit, so roll your damage.
12 damage to him.
Okay, that is enough to kill the goblin. So if you wish to do so, describe how you dispatch the goblin. You can kill him before he can even make a sound.
Salo will silently position himself above the goblin, and then as he jumps down, he'll land with his elbow first, striking the goblin into the ground, and cushioning his own fall. And then before the goblin can really react to his stun from the first blow, he'll quickly put his sword basically underneath the jaw of the goblin, up through the top of its head, and pull it back out.
Okay, the goblin opens its mouth as though to utter a cry, but your sword slides upwards through its jaw like a knife through butter. It shakes slightly, just a little slight whisper escaping from its mouth, and then it dies with a last exhalation of breath. Okay, at this point I'm going to ask if we can have everyone please make initiative rolls. So in order to do that, you need to make sure you've selected your token and then click on initiative on your character sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Has everyone rolled their initiative?
Yep.
Okay, splendid. So I'm just going to sort the initiative tracker.
I'm obviously just waking up.
Yeah, well, the rest of you are still asleep, aside from those who are already awake. So, Valor, if you wish to do anything at this point, you can do. Obviously, everyone else is still asleep, but you and Salo.
I guess if I have an action before the turn order starts, he notices his master's probably sleeping under him, probably underneath the wagon because he's small enough. He'll grab probably some rations, and he'll drop it on his master. And if it looks like he woke up and say, "Master, incoming," and then he'll make his way to the front of the wagon.
Okay, so, Orion, you wake up to this pitter-patter of like rations being dropped on you, and you look up to see Valor sort of like hanging out of just under one of the canvas flaps on the cart, looking down at you, and he says, "Master, incoming."
Oh, just a few more minutes.
Okay, at this point in the initiative, since it's the NPCs, I'm going to ask Loku, can you please make me a perception roll? This is at disadvantage because you're asleep.
Okay, perception.
So it'll be your perception, you take the lowest. Okay, perception 4. Okay, so you fail to notice as two goblins sneak out of the copse of trees opposite you. They sneak towards you, drawing their scimitars slowly so as not to make any sound. And one of them is going to attack you, which will obviously wake you up.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you have been hit for 5 hit points of damage. So you're startled into wakefulness by a sharp pain in your side, Loku. You look around you and you see 2 goblins poised over you. One of them has a scimitar shoved into your side, and the other is lifting up his blade to strike you. And I'll make his attack.
Oh shit.
Okay, you've been hit for another 5 slashing damage.
Oh, this one on 1. Well, we were better than last time.
Okay, so you're obviously now awake since you've been stabbed a couple of times, Loku. Do you shout anything? How do you react to being stabbed twice? You just suddenly literally woke up and there's 2 goblins shoving swords into you.
I'm gonna howl into a rage, whipping up my axe and swinging at the first one. Instantly.
Okay, obviously you won't be going to your initiative.
Yeah.
The rest of you who are asleep, you are all woken up, including the protectors, by the sound of Loku, first of all screaming in pain, and then howling in rage. As you see the protectors sort of grabbing their weapons, etc., and any of you who are asleep start waking up, you can see Loku sort of like rising up. He's got these 2 bloody wounds on his chest, and there's these 2 goblins frantically, like now looking quite scared, now he's risen to his full height, trying to quickly like ram these swords back into him. But before we do anything else, it's on to Sallow in the initiative. What are you doing, Sallow?
Let's have a look. I can hear the shenanigans that are occurring. So I'm gonna dip my way out of my cover in the trees.
Yep.
$15, $20, $30. That gives me line of sight. And I will. I'll raise up my my hand with the shard embedded in it. Cast Eldritch Blast at the front goblin here.
Okay, go for it. Okay, so make your ranged attack roll. Yeah, that hits, so roll your d10 damage. Okay, that is not quite enough to kill the goblin. However, it is enough to take him down to 1 hit point. So describe what your attack looked like to anyone viewing it.
So, Salah will raise his hand and pull up the sleeve that's covering it, showing the shards of the dark gem embedded in his arm. He'll then call out in an Eldritch language. The shards will light up with a very dark purple force that travels along down his arm into his fingertips, launches out to strike the goblin in its heart.
Okay, you see this dark bolt of energy strike the goblin. It screams out in a high-pitched voice, "Ah!" as it's sort of like thrown backwards onto its back by this bolt of dark energy. Loku, as you look down, you can see it's like still twitching and like struggling to get to its feet, but it's got this huge scorch burn on its chest from this bolt of dark energy. Okay, Valor.
Valor's gonna pop out the wagon, fire an arrow, and get behind. Now, this wagon, is it a curtain wagon? Is it covered, or? it's just an open
It has a canvas covering over it.
So he'll just pop through the side of the covering and pop off a shot.
Okay, go for it.
Bow and arrow. Here we go. And would they be considered surprised?
They wouldn't be considered surprised, no.
Okay. Here we go. So
You've hit.
Are
you shooting at the one? Are you shooting at the one that's already injured?
Yep.
Okay, you have done enough to kill him. So describe how your blow takes him down.
So just like in a John Woo movie, he'll pop through the curtain. Aha! He'll fire at the one that's probably the one right in front of him. And as the curtain closes, he'll smile as the arrow hits him in the face. And as the curtain closes, he just will stand there, duck down, and be ready to fire again.
Okay, so as this goblin's climbing to his feet, he's just sort of like trying to shrug off the effects of this dark bolt when the arrow hits him in the chest and he slumps back to the ground, dead. Okay, now I think we've got out of order with Sallow. I'm not sure how. He seems to be on twice.
Oh, that's odd.
So it's all right. I've just removed your lowest one, so that's absolutely fine. So we'll carry on to Loku now. Loku, there's still one of these goblins standing near you. He's looking in disbelief at the charred and crossbow bolt ridden corpse of his ally, and you seem to be looking up at you. He's quite fearful now as you've risen to your feet, because despite your wound, you're still an impressive figure. He's shaking a little as he's holding his sword out in front of him, almost trying to ward you off. What do you do, Loku? If you're talking, you're on mute, Loku.
Sorry, yeah, I lift up my axe and say, "Wake me up with swords, do you?" And then try and murder him. Very angry.
Okay, make your attack roll.
I hate getting walking up by stabs.
That'll hit. Roll your damage.
It's my least favourite way to wake up.
It's the worst way to get walking up. To be honest.
Okay, describe how you brutally slay this goblin.
I'm in rage at this point, howling, and I just cleave his head straight off.
Indeed, the goblin opens its mouth to let out a, no doubt, fearsome war cry, and as it does, you slice its head off its shoulders. The body falls to the ground, and the head spins around in midair for a few moments with a shocked look on its face, and then the head just like falls onto the floor next to it.
I'll spit on it, prick.
Okay, Oren. As you're sort of now awake, and most of the immediate threat appears to be dealt with, you look out sort of like to the south of where you are, and you can see what appears to be another goblin in the trees here. However, he appears to have thought better of tangling with you guys, seeing what you've done with his friends, and he's sort of slowly starting to make his way away from you, trying to like creep back into the trees.
Alright, so as I'm stretching backwards, I'll slide my hand to my pack and grab one of my javelins, and I'll huck it that direction. Probably to no great effect, but
okay, that's fine.
We'll see what happens, shall we?
Okay, it's AC 15.
Oh, look, it hits.
Just hits. Roll your damage.
And give me. Oh, why is it not rolling damage? Interesting. I broke it.
If you click on where it says javelin, it should just roll it.
I tried that and it's not doing it, but that's alright. Let's roll. Oh well, you can do it. Sure. All fancy. What did I do wrong? Yeah, see, for me it just does roll to hit.
Oh,
I'll figure it out on my side.
Well, yeah, you've rolled a 1 anyway. Your javelin scores a shallow cut on the goblin. You all hear it sort of go "Ah!" as it's running away, and this javelin grazes its leg, causing it to stumble a bit. You've all now sort of seen it as it's obviously frantically trying to get away from you guys. Okay, so I'm just removing some of the duplicates that randomly seem to be on there. Okay, so on its turn, it is trying to run away. However, the 4 protectors that are with you, the 2 at the back, break into a run, disappear into the trees. There is the sound of shouting and swords hacking, and a few moments later there is a scream from the goblin, and the protectors walk back out, so wiping blood off their swords. Well, it seems that that's been dealt with, says William. Are you all right? He says, looking around.
Yeah, no. That was worst way to get woken up. I'm going to kind of stagger over to the cart.
Okay, yeah, move yourself over.
Yeah.
If you want to get in the cart, just stick yourself inside the red rectangle.
I'm gonna take 5 in the cart, guys, if we're going to carry on.
Okay, so Valor, the canvas flap at the back of the cart is lifted up, and Loku, like, all but collapses into the back of the cart with, like, these 2 sort of, like, deep wounds in his chest.
Oh.
Sleep it off. You'll be okay.
Thanks, mate.
Obviously, the benefit of being in the cart, Loku, is that
You can sort of rest and recuperate while the cart is moving.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay,
doing a lot of that.
So, are you guys continuing on your way with Sallow leading up at the front, or are you stopping? What are you doing?
Well, we could continue through the darkness and perhaps be set on by more of these.
It's daytime, innit? It's daytime now, is it?
It's just sort of getting to like dawn time now, because obviously you have slept a bit before the goblins attack.
Well, the only reason to push forward would be to get there sooner. And seeing as how Laku appears to be a bit injured, I'm not sure getting there sooner would do us any good.
Might as well take our time.
If they'll be in the well or not, either we get, whatever time we get there, we'll be stuck in there.
One of the protectors says,
surely the longer we delay, the more likelihood there is of them freeing themselves and being away on their heels before we arrive.
You didn't see how we locked them in. Fair point.
Well, that is true.
I'm not saying that you didn't do a good job of locking them in, says the protector, Simon. But even the stoutest of door maybe felled with a blow of sufficient force and given enough time.
Yes, but if we're talking about getting through a door and some rubble, it's already been 2 days. I'm not sure a third would matter that much.
Well, how about this, Orin? We get there, and if we need a bit of time to rest whilst we're there, we can rest there. Knowing we're guarding the door at that point, we'll know how much they've broken out. I can rest in the car as we make our way.
Well, from what you've told me, says William, speaking of, it's going to be at least another sort of half day's travel before we arrive there. If Loku rests up in the cart and we take a fairly slow pace, he should be rested by the time we arrive there.
Yeah, I agree with Simon on this one.
Oh, that's fine with me.
Works for me.
Okay, excellent. So you all begin heading towards the encampment that you left previously. So just give me a moment. I'm just going to set that map up and move you all onto it. Okay, so about half a day later, you all arrive back at the ruined encampment you remember previously encountering. Handily, there's a cart on this map, so I've put Valor and Loku in that. As you arrive, you can see that the ruined buildings are much as you remember them. Now, I'm going to ask one of you to make me a roll to see whether the bandits have managed to escape. As you rightly say, you spent a good deal of time making sure that they were barricaded in, so it's only a 1 in 6 chance they will have of freeing themselves. So it's down to you guys as to who you want to make the roll.
I've got no idea how to roll a d6 in this game, so someone else.
I'll do it. Bam.
There we go.
Okay, not a problem. As you arrive, you can see that the debris you heaped upon the well here is still in place. It doesn't look to have been dislodged. Everything is much as you remember it.
Can I just point out, John, at the moment, I don't know if it's for everyone else as well, I see a black screen.
Right, okay, just give me a moment.
No, it is, yeah. I didn't know if that was meant to be like that. I mean, I wounds it and inside a inside a car.
How's that?
Yeah, perfect.
That's got it.
How many hit points have I got back? All of them?
You will have healed all of your hit points because you've effectively rested for 8 hours while you were travelling in the cart.
Awesome.
Okay, as I say, you've arrived on the scene. You can see that your rubble does not appear to have been dislodged. What's the plan, guys? You're not in combat round, so feel free to move as you see fit. I'm going to assume that your cart is left where the cart is on the map.
Yeah.
Good place to put it.
Are we going to start surrounding it and removing rubble?
Master, I will secure the area.
Okay, very good.
The protectors move over to sort of surround where you are, Loco, obviously to help if you want to remove the rubble.
Yeah. I'm going to roll anything to start doing it.
No, that's fine. You don't have to roll anything to remove the rubble. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Cool.
Obviously, the advantage you guys have got is you can sort of get your hands under the rubble. You're not just trying to like push up from below like they would have been doing.
Yeah, start lifting rocks off the planks and the planks off.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. It's probably going to take you maybe half an hour to remove all the rubble because you did like pack it down really tightly to make sure they didn't escape.
I didn't, so good job.
After about half an hour, you've uncovered the top of this well, and looking down, you can see it dropping down into the deep water below. You can also see the small stone flagstone that Valor told you previously was movable and led to the secret entrance to the Bandits' lair.
Cool. Right, who's going down first? Valor and Salah, you kind of know down there, don't you? A bit better than us.
I'll go down.
Yeah.
Well enough, yeah.
So Master, I'll be back. He'll go down.
Very good.
Cool. Are we going with them, or are we let him go down the run?
Again.
So it's just Salah and Valor going down, is that correct?
No, I want to go down.
Alright, you want to go down as well, that's fine. So, Oren, you're just staying behind, is that correct?
For now.
I'm not as incapacitated as last time.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the well cave map. So, let me know if you can see.
I can't see anything. It's black.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay,
Right.
Valor,
Yep.
can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, what's the range of your dark vision at Salo?
Let's have a look. is 120 feet.
Okay, and you can't see the map at the moment, is that correct?
I can, yeah, I can see pretty much everything in there.
Okay, that's cool. So, it's just you that can't see anything, Loco, is that correct?
Yeah, I've got 60 feet vision.
60, okay, I'll add that on for you, and then you should be able to see 60 feet. Okay, can you see now?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, lovely. So, you know where the flagstone is. That's the secret entrance out of the well at Valor. You discovered it previously. If you want to push it aside and enter, you have no problems doing so. Is that what you're doing?
Oh, sorry. Yes. I'll kind of count down slowly, make sure everyone else is ready, and then move the flagstone.
Yeah, because we are.
Okay, the stone slides to one side on the mechanism as previously described, and as you peer in, you see what appears to be a natural cave system leading away from the well. At this point, I'm going to ask you all to roll your initiative. So, again, you'll need to select your token and click on initiative on your character sheet.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Select your token and then click it again, Dave.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, no problem. Give me a sec. There we go.
Lovely.
Yes, hear me now.
Yeah, that's fine. You just need to select your token and roll initiative, Valor.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's fine, dude.
Fucking hell.
Okay, well, that's definitely going to be my mighty 2 initiative. So, okay, so Valor, it's going to be yourself going first. As you peer into the tunnel, up ahead you can see what appears to be a makeshift barricade of barrels, crates, tables, etc. has been placed across the mouth of the main tunnel, and you can hear sort of high-pitched chittering from the other side of it. It sounds similar to the voices of the goblins that you heard that attacked you previous night.
We'll make his way over. Just sneak his way over.
Okay, make your stealth roll. It's going to be at disadvantage because it's quite difficult to sneak just down like an empty corridor.
Okay. So this has build my proficiency bonus, so +2, whatever it is.
Okay, yeah. Despite the sort of barrenness of this corridor, perhaps using the natural features and your small size and perhaps even your cloak, you are able to sneak undetected by the goblins on the other side of the barricade. So feel free to move yourself unseen.
And we'll wait. Now that we're on that side, we'll just wait for the others to do it, and when someone pops up, we'll shoot.
Okay, now you're a bit closer to the barricade, Valor. You can hear what these 3 goblins are saying in broken common on the other side of the barrier. They appear to be having a bit of a discussion amongst themselves. One of them says,
How long have we got to wait here? Look, the boss told us to keep an eye out. Said there'll be someone trying to come and get us soon. We've got to keep an eye out, and when we see him, we've got to shout, innit, to get him to come round here and back us up. All right. Keep an eye then. What if we see anything? Well, we shoot him, don't we? Don't be stupid. And you can see him sort of peering over the barricade, but by now you've sort of hunkered down on the other side of it, Valor, and they don't appear to have spotted you. Okay, Loku.
Okay. Right, well, after last time, and because I'm not very stealthy at all, I'm going to kick in rage right now. So I'm basically going to announce myself.
Would you care to give a? Would you care to give
I'm
a half
going to
or
announce
growl or
myself
shout?
by and charge in there.
Okay, there is a howl of rage from the well that echoes throughout the cavern as you charge forward. Now, these goblins have effectively been holding their action, so as you run out, they will get to shoot at you, Loku, but move yourself to where you're going to move to.
Six. Can I try and throw a javelin at them?
You will get an opportunity to do that, however, because they've been holding their action. They will get to sort of shoot at you first as you're approaching. Since they're not really expecting you, though, I'm only going to do one of them shooting at you. Okay, so one of them is going to shoot at you with a short bow.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, you have been hit for 5 piercing damage. So as you run across, you hear one of the goblins in his high-pitched voice shout, "Ah, shit!" And you see this like little stubby hands come up with a short bow and fire an arrow. It hits you in the shoulder as you're charging forward, barely slowing you down given the force of your rage. Now you can make your javelin attack if you will. However, they do have cover, so their AC, they've got 3/4 cover since they're just poking over, so their AC will be increased by 5, which takes them up to 20, but it's not enough to stop your javelin attack. So click on javelin to roll your damage.
Some of that. Yeah,
Okay,
I got 11 with my rage.
You've successfully killed one of the goblins. So the one who's like popped up a little bit to shoot you, describe how you hurl this javelin and kill him.
Yeah, he pops up to shoot me, which kind of hits me into the shoulder, and I use that momentum to throw my javelin right between his eyes, splitting right between his head and exploding at the back of his head as he crumples to the floor.
Indeed, the javelin hits him in the middle of the head. He lets out a pathetic squeak as most of his brains evacuate his skull out of the back, and he slumps down out of sight behind the back of the barricade. So now we move on to Sallow.
Have a look. So what I'd like to do is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Is it possible to... So what I'd like to do is double move. What I'd like to do is basically move my 30 feet and then spend an action trying to... basically getting over the barricades and ending up here.
Okay, basically, if you've got enough move to get over the barricade, you can climb over the barricade. It's hastily constructed. It's not like a fortification. So if you've got enough move, if you get on the other side of the barricade, they won't get their AC bonus against you when and if you attack them.
I forget, is it possible to double move in 5th ed?
I believe so, if you're sort of like running, but you won't get to do anything else.
If you want to double move, you just don't get your attack action.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end up here, but so I basically just break into a full sprint, run past both Vala and Loku, and vault over the barricade.
Indeed, you leap over the barricade with your cloak billowing around you. There's a "ah!" from the 2 goblins as you land next to them. However, as you do land next to them, obviously drawn by the sound of the noise and the combat, you can see what appeared to be a number of humans making their way around the corner of the tunnel. You hear a gruff voice at the back of them going, "I told you someone will be along soon. Deal with them, boys." And you see these 3 burly, bearded humans, attired similarly to the bandits you encountered previously, running down the passageway, but they're not going to reach you on this turn. However, perhaps luckily for Loku and Valor, the 2 goblins are far more concerned with Sallow, but since they've not fired their bows this round, they're going to basically having a go at attacking you with their scimitars, dropping their bows and just attacking you with their scimitars, Sallow.
Okay.
So what's your AC, Sallow?
It's 18.
I don't know if it'll mean anything as well, but because I howled at the entrance, would Orin hear that and want to come down if he wants to, kind of thing?
Okay. Yeah, obviously, Orin, you will have heard all the howling and the sound of combat breaking out. Okay.
Get your old ass.
Sallow. One of the goblins swings his scimitar at you and you deflect it almost lazily. However, taking that opening, the other stabs his weapon into your side, causing you 5 slashing damage.
I'll take that hit.
Okay, so we move on to Valor. Obviously, Orin, at any point you can come down the well if you choose to do so.
I will start climbing down now.
Okay, so if you want to click on your... Oh, let me just bring your token back up so you can see it. And then if you want to click on that and roll your initiative, we'll sort of add you into the round as we go on.
So,
Can you see the map? Bloody hell. Can you see the map okay?
I can.
Orin, or you can? Brilliant. Okay, so we're going on to the next round. So it's Valor Silvertongue first. Still hidden against the barricades.
okay, Valor is going to slide in here and shoot between the crates.
That's absolutely fine. Make your ranged attack roll. Yeah, you've definitely hit. Roll your damage. Okay, describe how you dispatch one of the goblins.
With the 11, again, just pure skill right through the eye, and he'll hunker down in case he gets shot at. But he's known now. Just right through the eye.
Okay, the goblin who failed to injure Sallow is pulling back his scimitar for a second strike when suddenly an arrow shoots from between a gap in the barricade, hits him in the eye as he's turning around, and he slumps to the floor, leaving only one of them remaining. Okay, Orin, you've reached the sort of secret entrance out of the well, which has been left open. Looking through it, you can see what's unfolding. You see this melee breaking out amongst the barricade, and you can just about make out the top of Sallow as he's on the other side of the barricade, engaged in some sort of combat. Although you can't really see what he's fighting where you are at the moment.
Especially with the impressive locker in his way. Going crazy.
I'll move down so I can see what is going on.
Okay, no problem. As you move a little bit closer, you can see on the other side of the barricade, Sallow appears to be fighting against a small goblinoid creature. There also appear to be a number of burly humans being urged on by a man at the back of them who's wearing like a torn sort of red bandana with some sort of like silver pendant pinned to it. And he's going, "Go on, boys, take care of them!"
Well, with not much hope of actually hitting this goblin, Orin, I will go ahead and lob a javelin in the direction of it.
Okay, he doesn't get his AC bonus because he's not hunkered up behind the barricade anymore, and it's quite a tall cavern tunnel. So just make your normal attack roll.
Nope, 7. So like the dart goes like sizzling, just like whack into the barrel, probably somewhere near Valor, like just like the. Zzz,
yeah, Valor, you're just sort of contemplating climbing over the barricade or perhaps slipping through it when there's and a javelin sticks out of the barrel next to you. You see what appears to be wine or maybe some sort of spirit just like trickling out of it where it's been punctured.
Use that for a foothold.
I was thinking the same thing.
That's the perfect I meant to do that comment.
You can't knock this guy down.
Okay, so we move on to Sallow.
Okay. I'm deeply offended by this goblin's continued existence, so I'm going to stab at him.
Okay, that's just enough to hit him. Roll your damage.
It's 6 slashing damage.
Okay, that will take him down to 1 hit point, so he's not dead, but he's like pretty much critically wounded. Describe how your attack goes down.
Salo at this point probably looks he looks almost bored as he's moving his sword around. It looks as though he's barely putting any effort in compared to the amount of damage that he's doing. You swing his hand almost with a very lazy motion, but the sword in his hand seems to catch up with the speed and slice across the goblin's ankles.
The goblin lets out a high-pitched cry and falls to the ground, clutching its mangled legs. It rolls around for a bit. It's not really any threat now, so anyone who gets adjacent to it on their action can automatically finish it off without a roll if they wish. So we're moving on to Loku. Loku, you've heard this goblin scream. It's rolling around on the other side of the barricade.
Loku in his blood rage right now is loving this, unlike Solo. So he's going to go 1, 2, he's going to leap onto the table, run across it, kicking everything everywhere, land next to him, and just murder what Solo has put in front of him. Sliced him in half.
What weapon are you using to finish him? Your axe?
With my axe, I'm going to basically come leaping down and just chop him in two.
Okay, you cleave the goblin in two with fairly little effort, given that he was pretty much incapacitated. He lets out a last squeak and lies still in 2 separate pieces. However, as this is going on, the burly humans, seeming unconcerned by the fate of the goblins, move further down the passageway. The one in front crouches down on one knee here, and you see that they're all holding what appear to be light crossbows that they pull out and aim at you guys. So I'm going to do one shooting at Loku and 2 shooting at Salo. So the one shooting at Loku.
Oh, bloody hell, these are always good hits.
Hits you for 5 piercing. There is a and a crossbow bolt sticks out of your side.
Oh, you made me angry.
Okay, so I'm going to do the 2 shooting at Salo. First one.
First one misses.
Oh, at least you're alright.
Okay, 2 crossbow bolts pass within inches of you, Salo, sticking into the barricade behind them. You hear the man at the back of the bandits shout, "Go that shooting, boys! I say bloody take care of them!"
Salo will respond by folding his arms, leaning against the wall, and looking incredibly bored.
Nice. Okay, we move on to Valor Silvertongue.
Valor will try to hide where he's at right there. He'll hunker down or move over.
Okay, if you're hiding, make another stealth roll.
Recycling certain materials like metals and paper do more to reduce GHGs than others. To learn more, visit recycleofficerecycleright.com. And thank you for holding.
We're being attacked by real life.
Okay, can I ask you to keep yourself muted, Clay, if you're not speaking, so we're getting a lot of interference from your end.
WS.com. Check it out. We've made our website easier to navigate and added new customer
Can you mute yourself, Clay?
Oh.
Yeah, Clay, we're going to hear some random talking.
No problems. Okay, you attempt to conceal yourself, but as you're hunkering down, you hear the guy at the back shout out,
"Look, there's another one of them there, crouching down by the barrels." And he points in your direction. You've been spotted. Okay, we move on to Oren.
Alright. Oren I'll push up to next to Valor here. And give... So... I don't know what changed, but now the only area I can see is directly around Valor. Like, it looks like he's got a lantern. And so I can see that, but I lost my dark vision.
That's odd. Let me just see why.
Maybe Valor's fucked up your night vision with his lantern.
Right.
What's the extent of your dark vision?
60 feet.
Oren? 60 feet. Okay, is that any better?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
I don't know why it suddenly dropped your dark vision off the stats, but there we go.
All right, I will. I will sling another javelin at the lead human there.
Okay, go for it.
Or at least attempt to. See how well this works. Oh wow!
You hit.
I step up on a broken part of a crate and just across it. And let's see. Dice-wise, it'll be this. So 6 points of damage.
Okay, there is a cry from the person at the back as he gets hit by this javelin. It sticks in his thigh. You see him drop down to one knee. He's obviously trying to pull the javelin out. You hear him grunt in pain. Look, stop messing around and take care of him. And he lets out a howl as he pulls this javelin with a wet squelching sound out of his calf. We then move on to Sallow.
Look. I don't exactly want to charge into the middle of them, but right, I'm going to basically from his position of leaning against the wall, he's just going to spring out and break into a run, go diagonally past the Loku here, and end up here, and then slash at this front guy with his longsword.
Okay, go for it.
Ooh, that was a good one.
You have most definitely hit. Roll your damage.
Nice.
Okay, that is enough to kill this guy. So narrate how you stunningly hack him down in one.
So again, Salo is maintaining the position of looking like this battle is he is far too good for this. He'll sprint forward, and then as the man raises his crossbow in defence, Salo slices across his fingers to force him to drop his hands, and then aim another quick slice across his throat in order to finish him off. He'll then point the sword over at the rest of them and in a deliberately bored voice say, "See if you can do better."
Okay, make me an intimidation roll.
That one. Oh, sadly not very good.
Yeah, we are very lazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's just like, let's see if you can do better.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I love Salo.
Okay, so the man at the back appears to be leading this group of miscreants. He shrugs off his waistcoat, revealing a muscular, bare chest, takes off his bandana with this silver pendant on it, wraps it around one of his hands, and he goes, "If that's the way you want it, why don't you step forward and take me on, man to man, if you are a man." And he spits on the floor. But before you have a chance to do that, or he has a chance to step up to you, it's that raging machine of fury known as Loku.
I'm gonna murder that guy. or attempt to. Please.
Okay, make your attack.
Yeah.
Okay, that is enough to hit him. Roll your damage. Okay, it's not enough to kill him. However, he's pretty seriously wounded. Both of you looking about as bad a state as each other. You're covered in bleeding wounds. However, your rage is keeping you going, whereas he's sort of like slowly like falling to his knees and like struggling to hold his weapon as you slice into him with your great axe.
Awesome.
Okay, we move on to the NPCs. One of the muscular moves to the other side of you, Loku, clearly planning to attack you while you're taking on his friend, whereas their leader steps up towards you, Salo, a gap-toothed grin on his face as he swings a scimitar around with practiced ease. He's obviously extremely capable with it. He sort of spins it round in his hand as he approaches you. Okay, so I'm going to do the one healthy bandit attacking Loku. And he misses.
Oh, thank God. I mean, yeah. I was scared as hell.
Okay, he swings at you, but obviously out of concern for not hitting his friend, he misses you, his weapon clattering off the stone wall of the passage. However, the gap-toothed leader of this group of miscreants steps up towards you, Salo, and he spins a scimitar round in one hand, then with abrupt quickness lashes out towards your neck.
Ooh, close, but still a miss.
Oh.
Okay, as he lashes out, you basically just rock back on your feet, sort of like, and it swings through the air a couple of inches in front of you, just where your neck was a few moments. The human curses under his breath. And we move on to the next round, which is Valor Silvertongue.
Well, seeing this is happening, Valor will move in. Dropping his bow gently at the crates so it doesn't get broken. He'll step up behind this guy and pull his rapier and strike him right in the butt.
Go for it.
Okay, rapier.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Oh. Yeah, well, definitely it.
So if someone is flanked, is that... I gotta read that up on what my sneak does.
Yes, you get
What's the
advantage,
point?
and therefore you have sneak attack.
Okay, that's D6 all. So those are 1d6. So for 9 total to his butt.
Okay, so it's not enough to kill him. However, he is almost mortally wounded. So describe how your attack goes down.
Yeah, he jabs him right in the right cheek, and it goes into his probably right into his pelvic bone, and just stings really bad as he draws it out.
He lets out a scream just as he's preparing to launch another attack against Loku. Your rapier-thin blade slides into his thigh, sort of pokes out of the front a little. There's a spray of blood as you pull it out and flick your rapier. He lets out a strangely high-pitched scream for such a burly, grizzled-looking man. Oren.
So Orin will make his way across the 1, 2, 3, 4 across the barricade, but there's not really a good way for him to get in here right here. So he'll close up and post up, but nothing else at the moment.
Okay, so we come back round to Salo.
So at this point, Salo will kind of nod, acknowledging the fact that his opponent clearly does know what he's doing. At which point he will he raises his left hand with the shards of the dark gem inside, and runs it along the edge of his blade as a dark power seems to seep throughout the edge of the weapon. At which point he will flick his longsword, which will emanate this power to spread throughout the bandit leader as I and kind of infuse into him as I use my. So in game mechanics terms, I'm using my Hexblade ability, which then curses him as soon as it decides to. There we go. And then strike with my longsword.
Okay, go for it. Okay, you've hit. Tell me how much damage you're doing.
So it's a total of 7.
Okay, so your attack has hit him and injured him. However, he appears to still be pretty much going strong. He seems to be quite a tough fellow. You can see he's struggling against your blades and your enchantments, but he shakes his head and he's got this almost manic grin on his face as he looks back up at you and he's like, "Is that the best you can do, elf?"
No, I'm just seeing how much you can take.
You can see spittle running down his beard and dripping onto the floor. Okay, Loku.
As I'm still in a blood rage, I want to, if I can, smash through that one into there. If that's all right. Just going to barrel through. Yep, I'm going to barrel through to try and open up for these guys. And I'm going to attack the one next to me, not the leader. So Sal's having fun with him.
Make your attack roll. Okay, you've certainly killed the guy because he's only got like 2 hit points left. So describe how you take him down with your great axe.
Yeah, I'm basically going to smash through him so it hits the wall as I kind of turn around and basically swinging my axe around and then basically embedding my axe into the wall with his head and attach the axe as it falls off it. Blood spraying everywhere.
Indeed. Okay, so we move on to the NPCs. You hear a clanking behind you and you see the 4 protectors who have obviously had a bit of a difficult time sort of scaling down this well with all their armour on, running up to the other side of the barricade. Okay, we then go on to the injured bandit who is going to attempt to attack Valor with his scimitar. Okay, Valor, you have taken 6 slashing damage. So make sure you change your hit point total, Valor. As the bandit swings his scimitar with a strength born of desperation and it sinks into your midriff. You can see, despite the pain that the bandit is in, a grim smirk crosses his features as your blood sprays onto his face. We then move on to the bandit leader. As he looks at you, Salo, he again spins his scimitar round in his hand. He smiles at you and he says, "Oh, I see how it is," and then he launches a flurry of attacks at you. Both of which miss. However, he swings his scimitar both times. You nimbly avoid the blows as only an elf can. He drops his scimitar down in disgust, flicks his arm out and swings it back round towards you. You see a small dagger has been flicked out, presumably out of a wrist holder, into his hand, and he swings it back towards you. Which I believe also misses.
Does.
So he swings, you hear him howl in frustration as all of these 3 attacks that he's launched with startling speed. I mean, even you, Salah, are probably quite impressed with his speed for a burly-looking human. He howls in frustration as his attacks fail to land on you. Okay, we move on to the next round. It's Valor Silvertongue.
Valor's going to try to slip into this crevice. If possible, and then he will retaliate against the guy that just smacked him.
Okay, make your attack roll.
Where's the button? There it is.
Okay, that's a hit, and he's only got a couple of hit points left, so you will finish him off. So describe how you take the last of the normal bandits down.
He slips into that cove area, kind of pushes against the wall, and rockets himself forward, puncturing the guy in the gut. His scimitar kind of brushing against Salo.
Okay, you take down the last of the grunt bandits, who slumps against the side of you, Salo, trying futilely to grab hold of your clothes to hold himself up. But as the last of his life leaves him, his hands fall limp, and he basically slides down your legs until he's face down on the floor.
Ugh.
We move on to Orin.
All right. I will move up to here.
Well then, seems all of your miscreants are gone. Care to surrender?
The leader of this group of miscreants looks at you, and he's got this slightly wild look in his face, like spittle running down his beard, and he goes, "What, surrender now so you can kill me or take me back to Liberty where they'll hang me up and string me out? I don't think so."
Right. Well, he's as far as Orin's concerned, he's fighting a semi-honorable fight right this second. Like, he called out for one-on-one combat. No one's screwing with that. So,
Very well, have it your way.
At which point he shouts, "Well, it's not like I've got much to surrender for. Either you're going to kill me now, or they're going to kill me back at Liberty."
No other options but die here.
You see as he's sort of lifting his dagger, obviously about to attack Salo, and he pauses and looks. He turns his face and looks out the corner of his eyes towards you, Orin, and he's like, "What other options?"
We understand that these decisions haven't all been your own. I have the ear of Lord Harper and the leader of the Grey Knights. There's a new plan in action. One that doesn't seem you simply strung up and gutted.
At which point he turns and looks back at you, Salo, and he says, "I'll listen to what you've got to say if you give me your word, elf, that you're not going to try and split me open from me gizzards while we're talking." And he looks at you, Salo.
So Salo will look over, and there is the hint behind his eyes of basically like a shadow running behind them. He'll look back, point his sword, and say, "We'll obtain nothing of use from this one."
Really? The leader, nothing of use.
Okay, at this point, Orin, can you please make me a perception roll?
I can roll the dice. We'll go with that. This. A whopping 6.
Okay, that's fine. Right, so Salo, it's your turn to act. What are you doing? There's been a brief pause, a lull in the combat while this conversation was going on, but it's now down to you.
Salo takes a few moments to. He deliberately seems to take a few breaths, rubbing along his left arm. Eventually, he'll say, "You have 30 seconds to make yourself useful."
At which point, as you say that, he jerks a thumb sort of behind him, indicating what appears to be a ramshackle wooden door further down the cavern, and he says, "Well, if you're looking to free some people, that's where you'll find them."
You see, everyone has a use. Loku, are you of the mind to go and check the door? I can see you're still heaving and frothing.
Well, that's a good point. Loku is in a bit of a rage right now, and is wanting blood. And Loku will kind of pull his axe up to basically chop him down. But then, because he's now with these people that are more of the light side and more balanced, he will restrain himself for a second and try and basically bring down the butt of his axe to knock out the guy instead of killing him.
Okay, make me an attack roll.
This is where you roll a 20 and accidentally kill him.
Just try it.
Okay, I'm going to use my parry maneuver. So as you bring your axe down, he brings up his dagger and sort of catches it under the head of your axe, and with what must be tremendous strength, you can see that the muscles bulging in his arm, he's like holding your axe behind his head. He looks over at you, Oren, and he says, "What did I tell you? I knew as soon as we stopped to talk this would happen." And you can see his arm shuddering as he's like holding the axe of Loku.
Oh. Laku, that's enough!
Hearing the more balanced words, or more logical words of his friend, he will relent and pull it back and calm himself down. Embedding his axe into the wall. Stop himself chopping heads off.
Okay, since we've gone to the NPCs, the leader of this group sort of backs away, so he's like got his back to the wall, so like you can't surround him, but he doesn't actually make any attempt to attack you. You see he's now got his dagger held in front of him, since he's no longer restraining Loku's axe, and he's sort of warily looking at you all, sort of ready if you try and attack him, but he doesn't actually make any move to attack. You see the protectors climb over the barricade and clank towards you.
Loku trying to restrain himself and get himself out of the situation of murder right now. He's going to do what his friend says and go towards the people, or whatever that guy said.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You move over towards this large ramshackle wooden door. It looks as though it's been hastily made from like planks and old tables. Doesn't look very strong at all. You're pretty sure one swift kick would like...
Yeah, he's in rage right now, so he'll use it. If he can't use it on a person's head, he'll use it on the door.
Okay, you kick the door open in the dim cavern beyond, which appears to have like a few crates and tables in it. You can see what appear to be 6 sort of half-starved, huddled figures, all sort of crouched in this cavern. As the door bursts in and you stand there covered in blood, they're all like...
Oh, I look like the orcs that were holding hostage.
Pretty much they've been captured by bandits and orcs and held hostage. Then suddenly the doors burst open and there's this huge like blood-stained orc with a battle axe stood there, and they're like... Ah!
I will announce.
Help him!
Come with me if you want to live.
Okay, make me a persuasion roll. You're at disadvantage.
Brilliant, yeah. I guess I am.
No.
-1 normal.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't think I've ever seen someone roll a 0.
That's impressive.
Okay. As you say this, not being encouraged by you, they actively sort of like run to the far side of the cave and sort of like huddle against the wall as though they're trying to get as far away from you as possible.
Right, so I'm sheepdogging them. You know what I mean? Like, okay. That's good.
Okay, we move on to Valor.
Valor will, since we're not attacking this leader, and he's not attacking us yet,
That's right.
he'll go between the guy's legs. Excuse me. And he'll go after Liku to not make sure he didn't mess anything up or take anything that we need to do stuff with. So we'll go back here.
Okay, no problems. As you move into the cavern, you can see there's a slight rise at the end of the cavern, and standing on this rise is what appears to be a large and ancient statue of what looks to be some sort of elf wearing armour and holding a spear. It must be an incredibly ancient statue. You can see that bits of it have chipped off. There's damp and mould on it.
We'll just observe, walk around. I've gone as far as I can, but they'll just keep watching it.
Okay. Oren.
What is your name?
They call me Hergor.
Ergor. I'm Orn Rundar. These are my better halves. You can see I brought Harper's protectors with us and not Grey Knights. We knew what we were finding down here.
This actually seems to set him a bit at ease when you're like, oh, we haven't bought any Grey Knights, we bought protectors. And he seems to like relax a little bit. He's still keeping a wary eye on you, but he's not like immediately ready to spring now.
I'm not saying that your crimes are forgiven or your trespasses forgotten. Simply that you will not be strung up and gutted right away.
As you're saying this, the Hergor looks around as though he's sort of like checking either side of him. Then he like leans in close to you, not in an aggressive way, but leans down so his head's next to your ear, and he says, "Be careful. One of the people in that cave isn't what they appear to be." Look for the black ring.
All right, so I will step to here, and then I'll turn to Sallow, and in Elvish, Sallow, there is someone hidden amongst the survivors. A black ring. Can you find them?
Salo nods in response, wipes blood off his sword, sheaths it, and then starts to move towards the prisoner room.
Okay, and it's your action next, so go ahead. Can I ask you to mute yourself, Clay?
That wasn't Clay, that was me. I actually had an airplane fly over.
Alright, okay, no problems.
So Salo will walk in. He'll pull his sleeve down over his left arm, pull his hood up, and then walk into the room. He's not actively trying to be intimidating, but he's also not trying to appear friendly either.
Okay, as you walk into the room, one of the sort of emaciated peasants huddled in there goes, "I knew it! They've come to finish us off! I knew it!"
Salo will say nothing in response.
Okay, we move on to Loku. If you're talking, you're muted, Loku.
Sorry. I'll be basically, as Salo walks past me, I'll be basically like, talk to these fools, they won't listen to me. And I'll kind of like pace around and try and calm myself down.
Okay,
Without killing
you're sort
anyone.
of furiously walking around, like huffing under your breath, and trying to cool yourself down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on to the NPCs. The protectors you brought with you surround the Hergor, and they begin disarming him. At the moment, he's not putting up any resistance.
Do they have manacles with them by chance?
They do indeed.
Beautiful. So as they put those on him, you understand, of course.
He doesn't look happy about it, but he nods. Okay, we move on to Valor.
Valor will go back and look at the statue and come back. And a thought has crossed his mind, so he's going to come back to the group. And if he gets the attention of the man, he's going to give his little, where he sees it, but maybe not the others, but he'll give his, twirl his fingers, lick his tongue, whatever he needs to do to kind of give his thief's chant and kind of give him a knowing wink. And then he'll go about to his master and says, "Master, there is a statue there that is quite magnificent. Maybe we should check it out."
As you give your sign to the now shackled bandit, he like winks his eyes and like moves his arms in a way that conveys that he understands you.
Sweet.
Yes, statue. Well, when you get to be my age, you do appreciate old things.
And indeed, it's your action next, Oren.
All right. So if I double move, like I'm not worried about any sort of combat, I can get to right here. And so I walk up to it. How tall is this? Is it elf sized or is it larger?
No, it's larger. It's
okay.
It's about 15 foot in height and proportioned to that size. It looks to be made out of a sort of white stone, although, as I say, moss and damp has stained it and slightly dulled its beauty.
Sure.
But it's still incredibly stunning, since the craftsmanship of the elves was made to withstand the long march of years.
Right. And very obviously not made from some stone that is a portion of this cavern, to the best of what I can see.
No, the stone that it's made out of does not appear to be local to this cavern.
All right, I'll reach out and maybe put my hand on its shin or its knee, because as tall as it is, maybe its shin more likely.
Oh, magnificent. Not from around here either.
As you put your hand on its shin, there's a slight warmth to the statue. It's not like scalding hot or anything like that, but it just feels sort of slightly warmer than your quite chilly surroundings in this cavern.
Could I take a crack at a history roll to see if maybe I recognize the elvish figure that's carved?
You certainly can make your history roll.
It's going to be a terrible roll.
19. Yeah.
Okay, so with that 19, I'm going to turn to yourself, say you do recognise it. What would you like this statue to represent? Feel free to name this elven warrior if you wish.
Oh, yeah. Oh, jeez. I'll have to call her back. So... So the elf's name is Merrick Trollbane.
Okay.
Orin can't remember the actual Elvish for it, but he remembers the common tongue name for him. And even at 15 feet tall, this statue is only double, plus a little, the height of Merrick Trollbane. He was a very large elf. A folk hero, a lot in the same way that Orin likes to view himself, but more of a savage. He wasn't one of the more civilized elves. He was one of the more, not barbaric, but less civilized, if that makes sense, right?
Indeed, you know that Merrick was one of the woodland kindreds of elves who they have a more sort of a natural way. They didn't dwell in ivory towers like many of their kin. They sort of dwelled in the natural world, and obviously they learnt to survive in that world. So as you look at the statue, there's three things that you note that are very strange. One, the size. Two, the helmet that he wears is a dwarven make, and the spear that he holds is distinctly human made. There are two other statues that Oren's familiar with in his readings that exist out there. It was a trio of adventurers, of heroes from an era long gone. One dwarf, one human, one elf, who had overseen their differences prior to all this conflict and were a traveling group of folk heroes, of adventurers. And so there are two other statues elsewhere in the world that would be part of these three statues. This must have been stolen from some city center and brought here at some point in the past. Okay, as you're looking at the statue and you're examining it more closely, you can see that the elf he has his head lowered slightly, and the face, which seems to have survived unmarred due to the years, has an expression of extreme sadness on its face. You can see it appears to be sort of like looking down at the ground in front of it, and as you're sort of like clearing away some of the moss and the dirt from it, you can see that at the base of it, it says, "Merrick mourns the loss of his companion, Turkwald." And you know Turkwald to be the dwarven member of the trio. So there's a little bit of a tear that creeps up in Oren's eyes as he remembers a passage from one of these hero stories where Merrick and Turkwald were talking, and their biggest fear was always losing their human companion first, because even if the adventuring didn't take him, that they would both outlive him. And so this is a bit of a pang in that never happened, because obviously at some point Merrick lost Torquald as well. So, and being a long-lived creature himself, Oren has seen a lot of good people sort of go. As you feel a sort of tear gathering in the corner of your eye, and you sort of wipe it away with your sleeve, you look up and you can actually see a single wet tear running down the face of the statue. I hold out my shabbily cobbled together gauntleted hand, and I catch that one tear, and am just probably for the next 30 seconds lost into staring at it until it absorbs into the palm of, into the fabric of his ramshackle gauntlet. Okay, as the tears absorbed into your gauntlet, you feel a sense of warmth and calm suffusing your very being. It's as though all the stress, the dirt, and the tiredness of travel appears to flow out of your body, as though you'd given a long exhalation of breath, releasing all your cares and your worries. Okay, so we're going to move on to Sallow.
On Laku.
The super friends.
Yeah, definitely two sides of a coin.
Okay, so what are you doing, Sallow?
Sallow's going to walk over towards this end of the room. He's making an effort not to show his left arm, but he'll point with his right at the person just in front of him, and say nothing else other than "Show me your hands."
Okay. So says the peasant. They hold out their hands in front of them. like this. There's nothing untoward about their hands.
I'll be moving in, but staying a little bit back. But I mean, just in case.
You then look to the others and say, and the rest of you, show me your hands.
Okay, they all slowly start showing you their hands. They all appear to be relatively normal, nothing untoward, until you get to the fourth one down, which is this one here. Still trembling, the peasant holds out their hands, and as they do so, you can see they appear to have a small ring of black stone on one of their fingers.
Okay, so at this point, he's Solo's not even going to hesitate. He'll raise his left hand without warning an Eldritch Blaster.
Go for it.
The 15.
Okay, that is a hit. Roll your damage.
9 force damage.
Okay, as the peasant holds out its hand, you launch your Eldritch Blast, and it actually takes off a couple of the peasant's fingers, including the one that has the black stone ring on it. As the two fingers plop to the ground behind the peasant, their body begins to convulse and shift. You notice their skin starts to turn a dark green, and they start to grow in size, their muscles bulging outwards hideously.
Can I attack as I'm basically protecting Salo and kind of ready just in case anything untoward happens? Oh.
That is absolutely fine. You're getting ready to attack. As you watch, you can see the peasant whose form continues to twist and shift. Eventually, it settles down into the hideous, brutish, dark green-skinned figure of an orc, and it goes.
Salo will take the opportunity to yell "run" at the other ones.
Okay, they will certainly heed your warnings when it gets to their turn. However, Loku gets to go first.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a javelin at it. Well, ignore that second one. Sorry, press it twice.
Okay, no problems. You've certainly hit, so roll your damage. And click on either of them. Okay, and you're still in your rage, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so you throw your javelin, injuring severely this orc. However, it's still alive with your javelin sticking out of its side. It looks down with a huge clawed hand, swats this javelin out of its midriff. You can see thick, dark green, almost blackish blood dribbling down its bare, muscular chest. Then we move on to the NPCs. Okay, so quite unsurprisingly, all the peasants who are now shitting themselves follow Salo's warning, and they're all like, ah, ah, ah. The ones who are sort of down here just run straight towards the door, hoping to get out. The ones that would have to go past the orc to get out sort of cluster behind you, Salo, since they don't want to go past the orc. Meanwhile, the orc charges forwards, bellowing towards you, Loku, since you're the one who's injured it, and it is going to attack you. Luckily for you, it doesn't appear to actually be carrying any weapons.
That's good.
It swings clumsily, but still disorientated from its transformation. You duck nimbly under its clumsy blows, and it misses you. We move on to Valor Silvertongue.
Valor is going to make his way over. As far as he can go. He's hearing this coming from the north, isn't he? He's fighting and screaming and...
The fighting's coming from over here. So the east.
To the east. So he'll go there. He's done.
Okay, so
can he see anything? No, he can't. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we go on to Oren.
So, still transfixed by this crying statue and a bit slow to react because of it. He hears the roar that kind of snaps him back out of it. But he'll move to here to look into this room, and then I'll slide around the corner and stand kind of with my back against this wall, in disbelief that an orc that size could have been hidden in here amongst these people and we wouldn't have noticed, or that Laku and Sala wouldn't have noticed. Dark magic indeed.
You slide in and we move on to Sallow.
Salah's going to basically vault up over the table in order to get a good position, and then move in behind the orc to attack him.
Go for it. That will hit. Roll your damage.
8 slashing damage.
Okay, that is enough to finish him off, so narrate how you slay the orc.
In this case, he has substantially less interest in flashiness. So in this case, he will, as he charges up behind the orc, he'll run his blade basically up to the crossguard, and then basically slash upwards, downwards, and left in a triangular fashion to just basically do as much damage as he can, and then kick the orc's legs from underneath him in order to make sure he falls down. Even if he's survived those strikes, he's still incapacitated.
Okay, and that is exactly what happens. The orc falls to the ground, his life leaving him, and as he topples to the ground, still sort of trying to claw at you with his last breath, he says, "You will never defeat us. You cannot stop the heir of Nazareth." And then he lies still.
Loco, ready for just anything else, he's going to look at the rest of the peasants and go, "Any of the rest of them got black rings?" And start waving his axe around.
All the peasants seeing this are like holding their hands, and like, no. And you can see like none of them are wearing black rings.
Some will wipe off his sword and say they're clean.
As you're wiping off your sword, Salah, you can see the two severed fingers of the orc still lying sort of like pretty much next to where you're standing. And you can see the one that has the black ring on it still looks like a human finger.
I'm gonna. I will pick up the ring by the making sure to pick it up by the metal, and then push the human-looking finger out from through it.
Okay, you push the human-looking finger out, and as it leaves the ring, it twists and transforms as it hits the floor until there's a gnarled, dark green orc talon lying on the floor.
Interesting. At which point you'll...
Okay, we're effectively out of combat rounds now, guys. The bandit leader is manacled by the protectors and is no further threat. The orcs and bandits, goblins, etc. are all dead, so we're out of combat rounds. So feel free to. We're going to carry on for about another 10 minutes and then we'll wrap up. So you guys feel free to move as you see fit. Converse as you see fit. You're no longer in combat rounds.
Laku, could I ask you for a distasteful deed?
He'll run over. Yeah, it's kind of calming down a bit, trying to release his rage. Yeah, what do you want?
I produce a sack that I picked up at the market.
Could you bring his head back?
He'll grab the sack off you, pop back over, and put the head in it.
Yeah, not a problem. You easily chop the orc head off, put it in the sack, and hand it to Oren.
There you go.
You can see the blood from the bottom of the head has already started to soak the bottom of the sack.
Sure. I mean, that's to be expected.
Yeah. Just to let you know that is Salo's kill, though. You know what I mean, so.
Oh. Well, Salo, you can have the head if you wish. I simply wanted it for proof of our deeds.
I have no interest in heads. I'll look over to the...
slowly started to make their way out, and seeing the protectors, they seem to be a lot more at ease, and they're all sort of like babbling and like, oh, thank you for saving us. And they're like trying to shake the hands of any of you they go past. We thought we were dead. Thank you so much for saving us.
Yeah, Salo noticeably moves out of the way of any of the hands.
Did they try and shake my hand, or did they keep away from me?
No.
No.
They quite noticeably bypass you and go to Oren.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they have limits.
I'm going to literally go over to the barrel and kind of get a cup and smash some wine. It's definitely time to have.
You smash the barrel, and you can see it's not actually wine. It's like a port basically. But you smash it open, you can easily take a glug of it.
Yeah, it'll calm me down a bit.
You think obviously the bandits must have had supplies in case they were stuck down here, and you smash the barrel open, take a big glug of this port. It's gone a little bit vinegary, but it's drinkable.
Any beetroots?
No, I'm afraid not. It's beetrootless.
Fuck's sake.
Never get anything.
Can't have everything, can you?
So I'll look over to Salo, who's got the ring.
Careful with that.
Yes. Gonna make sure not to touch this. I'll put it in a pouch in my on my belt.
Okay, since obviously you've removed the finger out of it, so you're not able to hold it by the finger. How are you going to hold it without touching it?
Holding it basically by the metal, so kind of pinching it by either end. From holding it from underneath, my fingers are in a U shape, holding it by the metal.
As you take hold of the metal, your form appears to change, and to the rest of you who are watching, Salo transforms. So he still looks like Salo, but he looks like Salo if he was a human instead of a dark elf.
Interesting.
Do I look any different to me? As in, do I look?
Yeah, you look at yourself and you look like a human. Your skin tone's the pink of humanity. If you do drop the ring into your pouch, you'll return to normal after a few seconds. But while you're holding it, you look to all intents and purposes like a human version of yourself.
Dark illusions, obviously.
Interesting.
Careful, friend.
Yeah. While I'm under the disguise, do I feel any noticeably different apart from feeling like a human?
No, you feel absolutely fine. It's just you look like a human.
Okay. That may come in handy, but
It may.
not unless we need to.
I'm going to check around, John, just at the top here and stuff, just in case there's any other doors, any other entrance ways.
Okay, where are you moving to, sorry?
Up to where I've just put my guy, the marker.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You move up again, you see another ramshackle door, but you easily bust it down. That's not a problem. You see into the room beyond. It appears to be like a small guard room. There's a couple of barrels, like empty barrels that would serve as seats. A crate, you can see there's like some torn old like playing cards on it and about 6 gold pieces. It looks as though some people were sat in here and like having a card game, maybe like betting a little bit on it, but you can't actually see any people in here. Just the cards, the 6 gold pieces, and some makeshift chairs and a table.
I'll grab the 6 gold pieces.
Free to
I'll
put
come
on your
back.
carrot sheet.
Yeah, I'll come back out and kind of shout down towards back where they go. Check for the other doors. There may be gold in it. All the supplies.
Okay, the only other door you can see is here.
I mean, as we're moving about, I don't have an objection to moving up here at that suggestion and opening this door.
Okay, not a problem. You open the door and you see another of these large statues. However, this one appears to portray a human wearing robes. You recognise it as the human member of the adventuring trio, which feel free to, if you wish to give that human a name, you can do. Otherwise, I'm quite happy to name it.
It's a wizard, or at least
Indeed,
a rogue figure.
It would appear to be a wizard or a cleric, your choice.
I think maybe a cleric who essentially would have had the feat to allow him to cast a few arcane spells because of his affiliation with the arcane. So I don't know. Anyone got a good name for him?
How about Diggory?
Bowen.
What was that?
So,
Bowen.
Bowen and what was Owen Diggory?
Yeah.
That sure. Bowen Diggory. I mean, that's the first name, last name. There you go.
Yeah, Owen Diggory.
Okay. As you're looking at the statue, you can see that, as with the statue of Merrick Trollbane, you can see that this statue is actually like kneeling down. He has his hands in front of him and his head bowed as though in prayer. And the legend at the bottom reads, Bowen Diggory mourns the loss of his companion Turkwold.
So I again, like these statues are like right up Oren's alley, right? So he approaches the statue and he reaches up above his head and he puts his hands on either side of the paired praying hands, and silently says a prayer, partially for liberty and their cause. Partially for himself to go out a hero, but mostly for this soul to have found some sort of relief for the loss of his friend. And then when I hear Loku walk behind me, like I'll hear those footsteps doom 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 of Loku, right?
Yeah.
I will instinctively turn, and you can see this sort of like gold tint to my eyes for a moment, and I'll reach out and I'll put my hand on your chest, and you'll get this burst of energy, and I think I can only heal you 5 points right this second, but nonetheless you'll recover 5 hit points. Just and there's this wave just.
As you put your hand on Locker and this wave of golden energy spreads over him, you feel the sensation of the power moving through you, Oren. But whereas normally the power feels like a carefully controlled, to use a water analogy, it feels like a carefully controlled stream. What emerges from your hands is more like a raging river, and just this like bright golden light engulfs Locker, and you heal an additional 5 hit points, Locker.
Awesome. I want the full hit points.
And so, like, with that, I kind of collapse to a knee, not out of exhaustion, but more out of surprise. And there's normally a pretty so what I like to flavor my magics that they have something tied to the character, right? So for Orin, when he does lay on hands, there's always this smell of old books and pipe tobacco that kind of comes with it. But instead, what you get is this burst of a dwarven forge, right? You can smell like the heat for a moment, the molten metal. Because I would think that would be like the last memory that Bowen Diggory had. Was thinking back on his friends. So you get to, so it's that because I've healed you once before and you've felt that before.
You actually never healed me before.
This time it's definitely different.
Yeah.
And so I kind of look at you in like a very bewildered.
Are you right, Orin?
Loku, for a few moments, as you look up at Orin as this wave of healing energy hits you, as you look up at Orin for a few moments, you don't see Orin standing there. You see a figure wearing a hooded robe with his hand held out towards you. Then as you sort of blink your eyes and your vision clears, it's just Orin stood in front of you.
I'll try and pick him up, as in, like, are you alright, Orin?
Yeah, I definitely steady myself on him,
I'm fine. Very, very good, in fact.
And then I kind of, with my small hand, right, I reach up and grab to your elbow.
These statues. We may need to find a way to bring them back to liberty. There's something very powerful in them.
And as you say that we start to fade to black. The end credit music begins to play. And that is where we are going to end the session for this evening. I'm going to assume that sort of like between the sessions, you guys will get these peasants and your prisoner back to liberty.
Just
we will.
So just to make sure there's no one, I can see another little entrance, little tunnel coming off this. There's nothing in there, is there? Nothing of interest in the next room.
I will say that you guys have ample time to explore the rest of this place. And as you do, you find what appear to be another 20 gold pieces. You find 2 daggers. And also you find what appears to be a crate full of a black powdery material. But as to what that is and what it means, you'll have to wait till next time to find out. And that is the end of the session, guys. Thank you very much for playing. I hope you all enjoyed it.
It was fun.
That was awesome.
Lovely.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, I've totted up the various stuff you'll be getting XP for, but to save you having to wait while I'm totting it all up now, what I'll do is I'll post your sort of group XP total to be divided between you on the Facebook group, and then obviously you can put your totals on your character sheets, etc., and make any necessary alterations before the next session.
Cool.
So
awesome.
I'm going to finish again. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I'm going to finish the recording there. As always, I'm happy to chat for a little bit afterwards. But for now, this is the end of session 2 of Shards of Light and Shadow. Thank you to my players, Alex, Clay, Dave, and Steve, for another enjoyable session. And hopefully we'll see you all next time. Take care.